test one. Mics are going live. Call the meeting to order. Welcome to City Council. Appreciate everybody being here. Madam City Clerk, if you could confirm posting and roll call, please.
Thank you. The agenda was posted in accordance with Nevada open meeting law, and all members are present.
Thank you. If you could all rise with us and have Greg Gonzalez, who's going to offer our invocation from our Savior Lutheran Church. After that, please remain standing for the pledge.
Let us pray. Almighty God, Heavenly Father, you're the maker of heaven and earth, the giver of every good gift, and the one who establishes order for the blessing of all people. We thank you for the community of Boulder City, for its history, its people, and the many ways you provide through good government, peaceful neighborhoods, and faithful work and daily callings. As this council meets tonight, we ask your guidance according to your gracious will. Grant these leaders wisdom that's just, compassion shaped by your mercy, and clarity grounded in truth. Guard them from pride and haste, and strengthen them to serve with integrity and humility for the good of all. We also pray for all who live and work in this city, families, workers, business owners, teachers, and first responders. Protect them, provide for them, and sustain them in every need. Remind us that true peace and unity come from you alone. Bring calm to our discussions, fairness to our decisions, and a spirit of cooperation among all who are gathered here. Through Lord Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Join us with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation. Proclamation. Whereas Emergency Aid of Boulder City has been providing food and financial assistance to Boulder City since the 1930s. And has been incorporated as a nonprofit in Nevada since 1966. Whereas we call it the EABC, is staffed by volunteers and relies on federal, state, and city grants as well as private donations from residents and organizations, and has on-site food pantry which is regularly stocked with fresh produce, frozen meat, and non-perishable staples, and the pantry is an affiliate agency of 3 Square and subject to the rules of USDA and the Nevada Department of Agriculture. Also provides financial aid to those in temporary crisis and can be used to help pay rent, utilities, and other urgent needs. Whereas the Emergency Aid of Boulder City's official nonprofit organization was signed on March 28, 1966, makes 2026 their 60th year as a 501(c) nonprofit. And now, therefore, I, Joe Hardy, Mayor of Boulder City, Nevada, do hereby proclaim March 28, 2026 as Emergency Aid of Boulder City's 60th anniversary. Clap. And I think this is more than appropriate to have a photo. So we will come down from the
Hey, your chin needs to be between these two right here. There you go. Thank you. And then Steve. Okay, there you go. That's nice. There we get to see everybody.
All right, go ahead. And then look right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
When they had typewriters. Yes. Thank you.
Seeing no other public announcements, we will open for public comment. The initial public comment is anything related, anybody can say anything about, in public comment, anything related to the agenda tonight. Welcome to come forward and take your 3 minutes, and appreciate you being here. Actually, it's 5 minutes.
No, it's 3.
It's 3 minutes. Now it says 3. Phew.
And state your name.
So you're doing exactly what we want you to do. Write your name, state your name, and then take your 3 minutes. Or less if you want.
Mayor Hardy and council members, my name is David Ellert. I live at 1333 Cattail Falls here in Boulder City. I spoke on February 24th about my opposition to ballot question number 1, and I'm here again tonight for the same reason, similar reason, agenda item number 11. I'm asking that you keep data centers out of the list of allowed uses in LMP requests, at least for now, because of the potential impacts on the El Dorado Valley environment and natural resources. First, during discussions on ballot question 1 at the February meeting, I heard comments suggesting a data center is not outside the approved scope for the area. I don't agree. Solar generates power, battery storage stores it for delivery to the grid, natural gas generation produces power. A data center is different. It is a large continuous load that consumes power. New solar and battery storage are included in the request, but it appears those pieces are being designed to serve the data center. Excuse me. Second, on the agenda packet, after reviewing it, I'm concerned the backup material from Townsite Solar 2 contains some errors and may be missing key details. Before the city makes a decision with long-term impacts, I'm asking for clear and corrected information that the public can review. Third is our wastewater. The electrical materials describe 2 project phases, but the effluent discussion isn't clearly broken out by phase. Residents deserve simple phase-by-phase accounting, how much water is needed, where it comes from, and what happens if the project expands. Excuse me. If the site is fully built out, I'm concerned that effluent supplies will fall short, and that the city could later be asked to modify any contract to allow potable water instead. More broadly, I'm concerned about the direction this sets for the city's long-term water strategy. It appears that we may be moving towards selling effluent rather than returning treated water to Lake Mead for credits. I understand additional studies are funded and the SNWA study results are not yet public. Until those results are available, I believe the city should avoid commitments that are hard to unwind. I'd like the city, on its own or with Henderson, to prioritize returning treated wastewater to Lake Mead for credits. So my request tonight is straightforward. Please do not approve adding data centers to this LMP application until after the November election. This issue is important enough that residents should have the chance to vote first, and the council should have the benefit of that clear public direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Zeller. So sometimes we get in favor of some things and sometimes we're not in favor of some things, but we do appreciate the decorum that's here in the chambers. So if you can refrain from clapping, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, Bryn Delormier. Hi, Mayor and Council. I want to bring your attention to a critical issue with the proposed data center project, one that on its own I would hope would stop this project from moving forward. The applicant's energy calculations in your agenda packet are wrong, and they're not just slightly wrong, they're off by a factor of 1,000 in the applicant's favor. The correct figures are in the thousands of gigawatt hours annually, not single digits as stated. And that is a fundamental misrepresentation of scale. This proposal is up to 300 megawatts of continuous use. And using my own home as reference, that amount of power could supply roughly 250,000 homes. So Boulder City has approximately 6,500 homes total. This one project alone would use 22 times all of the residential energy used in our entire city. 22 times what we use residentially. And that energy doesn't just disappear, it becomes heat, which we already have plenty of already so far this year, and it's not even June or July or August yet. A facility of this size would generate heat equivalent of turning on a 1,500 watt space heater, except 200,000 of them. So running nonstop 24/7. So just for reference. At the same time, this proposal says it'll use up to 650 gallons of our treated effluent per day, which is about half of our current daily output. And there's no mention what would become of the wildlife in the area where it currently releases to out in the desert, and there's no mention also of what they would actually return back to the wastewater treatment facility. The applicant also proposed, as Dave said, a battery storage project for this site. That kind of project keeps power on the grid, and this project does the opposite. It takes power from the grid, and an enormous amount of it. So I feel like it's irresponsible to push for this as the single solution to the budget shortfall that was presented in the January 27th City Council meeting, when other more sustainable options were presented, such as at the February 24th City Council meeting, moving the golf courses into an enterprise fund, or back at the January 27th meeting, there were several other solutions offered by finance. And beyond the project itself, there was a broader concern about public trust. If approved, this project would be recommended to the Planning Commission for approval. And at the February 24th City Council meeting, there was a council majority appointment of a council majority church-aligned leader to the Planning Commission, which does raise serious questions about a process that is supposed to serve the public, not advance predetermined outcomes. So until the impacts are fully understood and alternatives are seriously evaluated, I would ask that the project not move forward, please. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Kind of stayed to 3 minutes there.
Someone is on the phone.
Pardon?
Someone's on the phone.
So we have someone on the phone.
Thank you for holding. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening. For the verbatim record, Fred Volz. Agenda item 4 needs removal from the consent agenda for further discussion and staff research. Pinal County sits some 300 miles from Boulder City. The Meade substation allegedly is at capacity. We know nothing about the transmission line capacity or transmission costs between Pinal County and Boulder City. What will the income be to the city utility department at the current retail electric rates? How will the total cost per kilowatt hour compare with other power sources? None of these questions were answered in the staff summary. As for item number 5, fewer cheerleader-type statements and more facts are needed, especially regarding golf course operations. If successful means taking millions of public dollars from other places to pay for irrigation systems, luxury lawnmowers, and other capital projects, then it is easy to justify that the accounting performed by the city finance department is substantially incomplete. The two courses do not pay retail water rates toward maintaining the water system and its operations. They are assessed no depreciation expense, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of staff support costs are excluded from the results. 4 members of this council have refused to place the courses in enterprise fund status to produce complete accounting, which will lead to a notably inferior financial result than presented today. Finally, item 11 comes at a strange and illogical time. This council placed the data center question on the November 2026 ballot. Until voters indicate that these data centers are appropriate for our community, there should be no movement by city officials toward advancing data centers on any basis. Communities around the country are being pressured to fast-track these questionable centers, negatively impacting water and power supplies and creating new air pollution when hundreds of diesel generators replace adequate power supply from the existing grid. In too many cases, elected and appointed officials are ignoring the will of their communities and attempting to accelerate approval and construction. Let's not be one of the foolish communities chasing a fast dollar to our long-term detriment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the phone?
Public comment, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Troy Patrick Farrell, resident of Boulder City, beautiful Boulder City, and I'd like to address the proposed data center using measurable impacts and real-world comparisons. First, scale. This is not a typical facility. Public data from existing large data centers show most operate in the range of 60 to 140 megawatts continuously. That's approximately 500 to 1,200 gigawatt hours per year. This proposal is approximately 300 megawatts continuous, or over 2,600 gigawatt hours per year. That places it well above the average of existing large data centers in the U.S. Second, water use. Proposal includes up to 650,000 gallons per day of treated waste. Boulder City produces approximately up to 1.5 million gallons a day. That means this single facility could consume nearly half of the city's wastewater output. In a region that's dependent on Lake Mead, this is a significant and long-term resource commitment. Energy, the energy demand. At 300 megawatts continuous, this facility would use roughly 20 plus times the residential electricity of beautiful Boulder City. This level of demand requires sustained infrastructure, adds long-term pressure to the regional grid. Heat and energy and efficiency trade-offs, Nearly all of that energy turns into heat. And while low water cooling systems are often presented as a solution, they increase our electricity use, especially in extreme heat. You all have noticed the temperatures go way up in March, making them less efficient in desert environments such as ours. Fifth, economic imbalance. Data centers are highly automated and provide limited long-term employment while requiring substantial land, water, and power resources. Finally, decision risk and public trust. The applicant's energy estimates appear to have been significantly understated in earlier materials. When a project of this scale moves forward with unresolved data questions, it's reasonable for the public, your constituents here in Boulder City, to ask whether this decision reflects long-term community planning or short-term financial incentives. How about that pool? This is not an accusation, okay? It's a question of transparency and due diligence. In closing, this is not a reversible decision. It represents long-term shift towards high-intensity industrial use. In our beautiful, small, historic town of just 15,000 people, once that shift begins, it sets a precedent and it cannot easily be redone. For these reasons, scale, water use, energy demand, long-term risk, I respectfully and passionately urge you to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to here in chambers.
All right.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mary Venable. I'm a resident of Boulder City. I'm an architect, and I also hold the Certified Energy Manager certification from the Association of Energy Engineers. I'm here to speak against allowing data centers in Boulder City. Previous speakers have given the figures, and they're kind of unbelievable, but that's the figures we have. The figures I have are that that it will consume roughly 2,300 gigawatt hours per year, whereas our city consumes 106. Is that possible? But that's the numbers that I found. Also, the previous speakers have talked about the use of the effluent, that it'll consume half to a third of the effluent that we generate. That effluent, there are better things to do with that effluent. It needs to be reclaimed. So data centers have also been very detrimental to the communities that they've been placed in. And the extra demand for utilities has hurt consumers, because the community as a whole, has to pay for facilities to generate that electricity. So it's a bad deal. If I might say, it's insane. It's an insane deal. It's a terrible risk, and it's not appropriate for a little city like ours. Let's let Las Vegas do it. There are better things that we can do to generate income. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the phone line?
Yes, hello. This is Kathleen McGarity calling you. I am watching via live stream together with my brother George III. I would simply like to say that we concur with the gentleman who first spoke on his concerns about item agenda number 11. And we would ask that the council consider not making a decision until after the election, and to provide the information and analysis that will be forthcoming. I want to just mention that my brother George is a UNLV graduate cum laude in IT technology, and he has studied the cooling process on this type of endeavor. So we agree with this gentleman who first spoke, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Anyone here in chambers?
Hello, my name is Charabelle Lobb. I've previously spoken on this issue before because I'm here to talk about the data centers. We've heard a lot about the energy output that it's going to cause, or that's going to be needed for it, and we've heard about the wastage from the water and things like that. But one thing that hasn't been touched on enough, in my opinion, is the health impact. According to Community and Environmental Defense Services, the data centers release dangerous air pollutants and gases, including nitrogen dioxide and tiny inhalable particles that can hurt people's lungs. According to the National Health Institute, they said that the tiny inhalable particles can cause between 100,000 and 200,000 premature deaths per year. Now, Boulder City, it is a lovely mixed community. And in it, we have a lot of people who are a bit older who may not care as much if something like this is built, because, well, it's not going to have much impact on their health. They've had time to have a long, beautiful life. They've gotten to travel, have jobs, and build families. I myself don't have to worry about it as much in comparison to most of the people in this room, because I myself am not going to live much longer. I have already outlived what most doctors expected me to. Even when Mayor Hardy was my doctor, he had worries about my life expectancy. Because my family was exposed to dangerous chemicals by a supposedly safe, government-supported energy and industrial, from being exposed to supposedly safe, government-supported energy and industrial resources. I'm 24. I've already had a heart attack. I've already nearly lost my life, and I can never have children due to things that we were told were safe, things that should have been researched more. These are already showing so much harm, and they're still new. Maybe one day they'll be safe to put in, but right now, I beg with the council, please think of the children. There are kids here who are going to want to spend their lives in Boulder City and won't be safe too. I'm already a lost cause. Please don't make the children a lost cause too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the phone?
Public comment, go ahead.
Mayor and City Council, my name is Jennifer Levitt, and I would like to speak on item number 11. For background, I was both a lab technician and eventually I became the assistant to the project manager, the assistant in project management for companies that utilize closed loop cooling systems. And while I have a lot of concerns involving the data center coming, you know, the environmental impact, the impact on wildlife, the possibility of the increases of asthma and so on in children in the community, I want to speak. I keep hearing that we shouldn't be so worried because of the closed loop system. But as a person who worked with closed loop systems, I know firsthand they're not completely closed. They really aren't. For closed loop systems, when you have to do repairs to them, most of the time, when any repair has to happen, you have to do what's called blowback. It's a discharge. Water in the outer loops, and especially in these systems, can become contaminated. So what you have to do is you have to discharge that water for repairs. And when those happen, all those forever chemicals are released either into the water systems, the groundwater, or into the open air environment. Just because it's a quote-unquote closed-loop system, it doesn't mean that it's a safe system. Research from both Harvard and Caltech have revealed that there are massive health and environmental damages. They still carry risks, and there are high risks of accidents. There was one of the biggest issues that they're having is almost even in these new closed-loop systems, almost every single one of the systems have sludge contamination. In other communities globally, not just here in Nevada, not just in certain areas, but across the entire planet, there's sludge contamination. I wanted to read something, you know, and they've had some of the outages that have happened, like in the Cyrus 1 Aurora outages. So I wanted to read something from the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy, which is when you're looking at environmental studies. This is the quote on the new systems. Quote, data centers truly are resource ravenous, as even mid-sized data centers consume as much water as a small town. And AI-focused hyperscale data centers can use as much power as 100,000 homes or more. That's from the organization that warns people do this or don't do that. Whatever we've seen, whatever we've heard, what I've never heard, not once, is the positive impact that these have. There's a projection of at least a 30% power usage in the state of Nevada. At minimum, these use 450,000 gallons of water, and we're hearing rates of up to 650,000 gallons of water.
Could you wrap that up?
Just in our neighbor, Henderson.
Jennifer, your 3 minutes is up. If you could wrap it up, please.
Okay. Well, we're called to be good stewards of this land. It belongs to God, it belongs to the community, and it belongs to our future generations. And I feel like we're selling our souls. You know, what would it profit a man if he forfeits his soul? And what is it going to actually profit?
Thank you, ma'am.
Our communities and our generations. Thank you.
Thank you. And sir, if you could identify yourself.
Kent Derby. I've been a resident in Boulder City since '79. About the data centers, we've heard all of the statistics on the water and power, and the big thing is they use an enormous amount of water and power, and we don't have either one to spare. I'm sure we're all aware of the Colorado River situation, to where it's not just the water issue, it's the electricity, that if the lake drops anymore, and it will this summer, we don't have any snowpack, so it's not if it's going to drop this summer, it's how much. And if it drops, I don't know, I think it's 50, 80 feet, Hoover Dam quits generating electricity. So the data centers, I've heard all about the closed loop system and all that, but with any cooling system, you have air or water, liquid, and what they're going to not use in water, they're going to make up for in refrigeration, which is going to require an enormous amount of electricity over what they're already considering using for electricity. So where's the electricity going to come from? Where's the water going to come from? I don't even know how you can consider even doing this at all. I mean, so that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone on the phone? Go ahead, phone. You can come up, sir, and wait if you'd like.
ahead. Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Hi, yes, sorry.
If you could state your...
Okay. Go ahead, sir, if you could identify yourself.
Yes, my name's George Ree, and I wrote down the arguments in favor here of a data center, and so it's kind of limited. But in general, I think in politics there's too little planning, too little horizon scanning, and too little awareness of long-term risks, and that applies certainly to this situation. I also think that critical decisions should be preceded by an informed public discussion. And what we'd like to see, I think, is in the agenda packets, attempts to inform, not to persuade, to provide a balance of the pros and cons, to acknowledge uncertainty, to be upfront about the evidence, and to preempt misunderstandings. And I don't really see that happening in what the evidence that's been provided for us. The language is a bit confusing. It says the center is optimized for high-density compute. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe they mean computers, computing, I don't know. Artificial intelligence, machine learning. Does anyone know any machine learning algorithms? Can someone explain to me what a convolutional neural network is? I don't know. I feel these are sort of buzzwords that sound good, but we're not sure exactly who's going to purchase these services for what use. And then again, the inevitable numbers. I think it's good for you to hear maybe the information coming from different people, but 300 megawatts is, by my estimation, 20 times Boulder City's consumption. Well, it's not coming from Boulder City, but Boulder City is a member of the Silver State Energy Association. It's coming from there, so we're now competing with the data center. Also, Boulder City is the air conditioning is one of the main issues. Boulder City is one of the hottest parts of the United States. If they wanted to go for it, why not go for Death Valley then? That would be, well in keeping with that. And it's also one of the fastest warming parts of the United States. So not only is it the hottest, it's the region that's warming the fastest. Thermometers are not partisan. They're not Republican, Democrat, or independent. They're devices that record temperatures. I refer you to the temperature outside this building. And if you're going to install diesel generators that generate 300 megawatts of electricity, then that's several million tons a year of greenhouse gas emissions and pollution. Now they're saying they're backup generators, but that's a huge power plant that they're not going to use. I join my voice in skepticism on this issue. I think it's a big decision, and I hope you'll listen to your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Deb Finnegan, Boulder City resident. I want to talk on number 11 tonight. Just like everyone else, I don't think this is a good idea beside the water, power supplies, pollution, whatever. and it doesn't seem to be a good idea in 11 states now. We have Georgia, Maryland, Michigan, New Hampshire, New York, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Virginia, Vermont, and Wisconsin. They've temporarily banned them. I think Vermont's banned them until 2030. I just don't think it's a good idea. I think before we do anything, I realize that the council can lease something. Put this on the ballot if we want a moratorium on these things. I don't know if these require state agencies to study the impact of data centers for economics, environmental, it doesn't matter. All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little shaky sometimes speaking in public. Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Danielle Haney, and I'm a resident in Lake Mountain Estates community. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm here today asking you not to advance the data center proposal until all the facts are on the table and independently verified. Approving a resource-intensive industrial project in the middle of our mega drought is not responsible stewardship. If the numbers aren't clear, the project isn't ready for approval. The Southern Nevada Authority study is currently underway to determine how the treated water could eventually be returned to the lake and what additional funding and infrastructure will be needed to make that happen. We're not done with that yet. Those study results have not been publicly released yet. Moving any energy and water use development forward before we see accurate data is irresponsible planning. Data centers are not low-impact infrastructure. They generate an enormous amount of heat, requiring massive cooling and place heavy demands on water and energy. Exactly the resources our region is struggling to protect. With the elimination of green spaces all across our region for water conservation, we already are seeing the heat map. The applicant's water and cooling numbers do not align with the figures that have been presented in past meetings. When the numbers shift, the public cannot be expected to trust the conclusions. Nothing should proceed until a qualified independent engineer reviews every claim and presents the findings publicly. If the numbers are wrong, it's Boulder City's ratepayers, Lake Mead, that bear the consequences. That land should be used in ways that align with our long-term sustainability goals, not projects that increase heat, strain our utilities, and provide minimal benefits to our residents. A change of this scale demands expert reviews, 100% transparency, and public engagement before any approval moves forward. This is not anti-development. This is pro-responsibility. Boulder City has always practiced and protected its land. This project asks us to break that tradition for unclear benefits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment, go ahead.
Hi, yes, this is Kimberly Bailey, and I'm calling to comment on agenda number 10, item number 10. And, I just wanted to express to the City Council my thanks for listening to me this last week, and to Toll Brothers for being willing to work with us on some issues we have on that agenda item. And at this point, I'd like to request that City Council table Phase 2 instead of approving it. And the reason I'm requesting this is because I don't think we've had ample time to review material, like hard material, to see what the changes that Toll Brothers has made over the last week and a half. I just talked again to them today, and they said, good news, we've reduced it another half a foot. But when I look in the packet that's been published and that I can look at, I see figures that I don't like. For instance, I see that the top of the curb at the front of the lot, 28, which is at question, is 4 feet below the finished grade of the pad. And, and I mentioned that, and they said, well, no, we've went through 3 or 4 different phases and it's not there anymore. And I appreciate that, but how can I verify that? And where is the document or written item that we can look at? And I am concerned that if we approve it and then leave those details to the Planning Commission or whoever does those, that we as the public lose leverage in the process. And so I would just ask that you would consider tabling phase 2 just for 2 weeks so we have some time to get updated information into the packet that's correct, so we all know what phase 2 is, and you'll be approving something that everybody's had a chance to see and comment on. And that's my comment, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon Smith for the record. I'll just simply state that I concur with all the previous speakers in regards to agenda item number 11. You've heard me speak about this issue in the past. Data centers just don't seem to be a very good use of anybody's land, quite honestly. There's been a story circulating how data centers took over 14% of a Pennsylvania town in the last couple of days. And instead of wasting the next 2 minutes and 20 seconds talking about all the reasons to cancel this proposal, I might give you one to consider. Other than, I think, probably the leash law, I don't think I've ever seen 2 council sessions, and I show up all the time. I don't think I've ever seen 2 council sessions attended like the last couple have in regards to the data centers, most specifically to the one that's coming up for the ballot, that's going to end up on the ballot question. Clearly, you have a city and a lot of people in it who are not proponents of this use of our land. And as a member of this community and a member of probably the people who put you in your seats that you're sitting in right now, I'd simply just ask you to listen to us because we don't want it. If you want a giant heat sink in town, we already have one that was erected right under your noses by the federal government. And now you want to stick one out in the middle of the desert. Again, just not a very productive or efficient use of our space, time, money, energy, or breath. Please listen to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. On the phone? Anyone here in chambers? Anyone on the phone? 702-589-9629. Seeing no one on the phone, no one here in chambers, I will close public comment, and we will move to approval of the regular agenda.
Mayor and Council, staff is requesting that item number 6 be considered before item number 5.
Okay, with that, any other questions, or we will move then number 6 before number 5, and any other changes at all? Then I would accept a motion to approve the regular agenda with that change.
I move to approve the regular agenda, moving 6 before 5.
Thank you.
Second.
And any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And that brings us to approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, unanimous. That brings us to item number 6.
Good evening, Mayor Hardy and members of the council. I'm City Manager Ned Thomas, and I am going to present this item to you tonight. If I could have the PowerPoint up. This is a follow-up item from your December 10th meeting, I believe, when we had a more in-depth discussion about the current franchise agreement between the City of Boulder City and Nevada Waste Logistics, doing business as Boulder City Disposal. So we can have the next slide, please. As I mentioned, this is a follow-up item. The council gave direction to staff. We're back now with 2 items for your consideration and possible action. The first item is bill number 2094. This bill is needed to repeal Ordinance 1607, which approved the most recent amendments to the franchise agreement. That was back, I believe, in 2018. That was agreement known as Agreement 98A534F. Tonight before you, then, the appeal of that ordinance will then allow you to approve tonight's amended and restated agreement by resolution, and any future amendments or changes to the agreement by resolution, which is a more appropriate way to do that. So just a little, the ordinance is kind of a housekeeping item. The main item before you tonight then is the second item, resolution number 8110. That's to approve the amended and restated franchise agreement. I will go into some detail about a few of the changes, the primary changes that are being made in the agreement. I would summarize those as deleting or changing some of the duplicative language and provisions. Some provisions have been reorganized for clarity within the agreement, and also to modify provisions that are related to financial or operational requirements. And again, I'll give you a few more details in the subsequent slides. But first, if we go to the next slide, let me give you a little bit of background. The franchise agreement itself is between the City of Boulder City and Waste Logistics of Nevada, doing business of Boulder City Disposal. The Southern Nevada Health District, just a little bit of background, back in 2017, the city wanted to expand the landfill. Boulder City Disposal and Waste Logistics were very instrumental in helping the city to do that, saving us millions of dollars in additional costs that had we had to meet all of the stringent requirements of a larger landfill, which were not necessary here. Oh, sorry, thank you. Also, so the current, with that expansion, the current landfill has a total capacity of 11 million cubic yards, about 160 acres, which translates into an estimated lifespan of over 100 years. A tremendous asset for the City of Boulder City. The local franchises for trash and landfill services, and this is able to provide better service at lower rates. A few of when we say better services, what does that look like? Well, Boulder City residents are able to haul and dispose waste at the landfill free of charge. We also, though, have curbside pickup from any container twice a week, as well as once a week recycling pickup. And we also have on-demand pickup of bulky items. These types of services virtually don't exist in other communities, and certainly not in Southern Nevada from other waste haulers. So again, just wanted to emphasize some of the benefits that the city derives from this franchise agreement. If we could have the next slide, please. And just a little bit about the franchise agreement. Again, we went over this in December, but for the council as well as the community, the original franchise agreement was executed a little over 20 years ago in December 2004. Again, it's for exclusive trash pickup and disposal for all Boulder City residents and commercial businesses, and also allows Boulder City Disposal to operate the landfill. The franchise agreement itself has been amended several times, most recently in August 2018, and then most recently this council received a presentation from staff on December 9th, 2025 regarding potential changes that had been requested by Boulder City Disposal, and the direction we received was for staff to go back and work with Mr. Martello and Mr. Kalish, who are here tonight. City Attorney Brittany Walker and I have been meeting with them, and now we have amendments ready that are in the proposed resolution before you tonight. And let me just quickly go over some of those proposed amendments. If we could have the next slide. Again, removing some of the duplicative or non-applicable sections of the current agreement. We're also going to address what's called a cap on the annual rate adjustments. Written into the agreement was a 4% cap. The next time that we go through a rate study, a rate adjustment, which would be in July of this year, we would look at removing that, we would propose removing that 4% cap. That would mean that any rate adjustments would be tied to the consumer price index, which is typically less than 4%. I think over the past 10 or 15 years, it's only been above 4% a couple of times. This will allow Boulder Disposal to set its rates, or any, and the city to set any rate adjustments according to the CPI, which will be beneficial to both, to Boulder Disposal in case there are any significant increases in that CPI. We will also establish charges for the daily trash removal in our city parks. Boulder Disposal has been doing this service since 2012 free of charge to the city. We asked them to provide a proposal to us about what the cost would be. It's estimated to be about $102,000 per year. That has been built into our budget for the coming year. We also estimated what it would cost the city and our existing staff to take over that service, and we estimated that it would be over $192,000. So it's a significant savings to us to have Boulder Disposal continue to provide that service to the city, but to pay for the services that they provide. If we head up the next slide, please. Some of the other changes, there is an audit requirement in the current contract that they will, Boulder Disposal will continue to provide the city with annual financial statements. They will be prepared by a certified public accountant, and if the city desires, then it can request, or it can pay for and ask for an independent audit. But we will rely upon the annual financial statements, as we have done for the past 20 or more years. And then there was another requirement for a $500,000 letter of credit. This is a requirement under the Nevada Administrative Code, as well as by the Southern Nevada Health District. It's related to closure of the landfill, and the letter of credit ensures that there are sufficient funds to provide for both closure and post-closure costs. The Nevada Administrative Code allows the city or the landfill owner to provide what is known as an alternative mechanism for financial assurance. Now, over the past few years, the city has applied a surcharge, and there are also the fees that are paid for trash, but we have a surcharge for maintenance and also closure of the landfill. At present, the balance in that landfill closure reserve is a little over $1.6 million. So it more than exceeds the amount that is required. And so we can ask the Southern Nevada Health District to approve that as an alternative mechanism for assurance related to the potential closure of the landfill if that were ever to occur. It's just like kind of having a reserve fund, which we do, related to closure costs. And then finally, the next slide. There's a couple of other housekeeping items. We would add, the contract would be amended to allow Boulder City Disposal employees to enjoy 7 holidays rather than 4. We would be adding Labor Day, Veterans Day, and Memorial Day as typical holidays for their employees. We're also adding unforeseen financial circumstances as a reason for Boulder Disposal to ask the city for opening the agreement for discussion. There is a list in the agreement, and for whatever reason, unforeseen financial circumstances was not included, but it seems like a reasonable reason that we would reopen the agreement for discussion. And then finally, there is a requirement, there has been a requirement for a $250,000 transfer fee that would be paid to the city if there was a change in ownership of Boulder City Disposal. The city approval is required for any change in the ownership of the company, so that amendment would remove just the requirement of a $250,000 transfer fee. None of the changes that I just shared with you would adjust or increase any of the rates for our Boulder City Disposal customers. So all of these are some of these are just housekeeping items. Some of them are cleaning up the agreement as it is written, and then others will help with the financial side of operating the landfill and providing the vital services to the community. So again, the last slide, please. Again, the action before you then is a bill, an ordinance which was introduced at your last meeting, and that would allow the approval. It would repeal the ordinance that approved the previous amendments, and then allow tonight's changes as well as future changes to be done by resolution rather than ordinance. And so then before you would be the resolution approving the changes that I've just outlined in the agreement. And so I leave that with you. If you have any questions, both Mr. Kalish and Mr. Martello, the general manager for Boulder Disposal. Mr. Kalish is their counsel, and they're both here to help answer any questions that you might have. And I really appreciate the collaboration that we have had with them, as well as City Attorney Brittany Walker.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for the update. I do have a question in reference to the letter of credit. So that has to be approved by the health department before we could use the funds to cover that. Is that correct?
The health district would approve us using that as an alternative mechanism for that requirement.
Is there any reason they would say no?
I don't see one. Again, kind of on the legal side, but I think under the Nevada Administrative Code, it does allow them to consider alternate mechanisms, such as we've laid out. And our fund is more than sufficient to cover the need. And the benefit here is that maintaining that letter of credit, there is an annual, my understanding is that there's an annual cost for that to Boulder City Disposal. So it would remove that additional financial burden that they have each year of maintaining that letter of credit.
Thank you.
We've had an opportunity to look over this for quite a few months and to discuss it and to go back and forth, and I appreciate the ability to go back and forth and to talk about it and how we can find solutions. I am more than on board to give a Memorial Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day holiday for those who pick up after us. I don't know if you've ever been anywhere where trash service was canceled for any reason and what that looks like, but it's not a really pretty thing. I also know that we are kind of an anomaly. Everywhere that my kids have ever moved, they'll get 1 day a week trash service, and that's it. So we do enjoy in our city some perks, and this is one of them in the small city that we live in. So for that reason, and for the due diligence that we put forward with the city attorney looking into this and all of us looking into this, I feel like this is a contract or something that we would be able to support that would do no harm to the ratepayer, would still benefit us with the services that we're receiving, and would allow for our Boulder City Disposal, which is vital, otherwise who would come in, right? At some point, we'd have to see who that was, to be able to function in a market that's been a little unstable lately as far as pricing is concerned. So I just wanted to put those points forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
A point of clarification, you, I think, kind of caught yourself, self-corrected, but didn't clarify. Any changes in the rates?
No.
Occur, no.
Sorry, excuse me, I
No.
didn't interrupt you.
When there are any changes to the rates, it's done by council, not by the service provider, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. And there is usually an annual adjustment, again,
Right.
according to the consumer price index.
And that would occur here, and then the business impact
Yeah.
study and all those things occur, right? And so I think it's important to differentiate that, you know, they don't just set what they're gonna do, but it's part of the negotiations, and then council by resolution will establish those.
Correct.
Those rates. Okay, thanks for that clarification.
I just think they do a great job, and these are really non-issues, not charging anyone, but I want to thank you, Boulder City Disposal, for doing the great job that they do for Boulder City. I want to thank Boulder City Disposal for the great job that they do, and these are just more or less house cleaning things, and I think what Sherry said about us being able to do our due diligence ahead of time, that all of these issues are great, and I just want to say that I appreciate the job that they do, and it's nice to clean some of these things up.
Appreciate all those comments. I concur with everybody, what you're saying. We have the best service most often than anyone else has. I think Mr. Martello and all those, Mr. Kalish, all those people who have served us, and I am thrilled that we're giving appropriate vacations to the people who work. So,
Mayor, I had a couple more comments that weren't questions, so I saved them. It's really important that we all appreciate and acknowledge the fact the landfill is an asset of the city. And Boulder Disposal is essentially our partner caretaker of that facility. And they have been, from my experience and my understanding in years past, a very responsive partner and who has helped us navigate some turbulent waters in reestablishing the lifespan of our landfill, as well as saving millions and millions of dollars in what could have potentially been a requirement to add some liners and other things out there that we ultimately didn't have to do, that would have been on the cost of all of us ratepayers, not because that we have a caretaker partner, but because it's our asset and it's owned and then collaboratively managed by the city. And that is important to understand as we go through this exercise, that they're actually a good partner with us in a very important asset. I think we all enjoy the opportunity to use it freely. I don't mean for free, but freely. And if I do want to take a truckload of stuff from my house, it is free to take it down there. It's included in my rate. So it's really a great benefit and a great asset to the community. Thanks, Mayor.
thank you. Any other questions? If not, I would accept a motion on bill numbers 2094.
Move to approve bill number 2094.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Brings us to B.
Move to approve resolution number 8110.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on resolution 8110? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. It's unanimous again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That brings us backwards to number 5.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Boulder City residents. I am Julie Calloway, your Parks and Recreation Director, and tonight it is my honor to present to you the annual report for the Parks and Recreation Department. Our department is an essential public service, adding to the vitality of Boulder City community. We strive to provide residents and visitors with a variety of recreation opportunities, special interest classes, sporting leagues, and special events to encourage healthy lifestyles and build a sense of community pride. Tonight, I will be sharing what we do, who we are, and where we're headed. We are probably the most public-facing department within the city. What we do is built by the ideas, suggestions, and feedback provided by residents. The suggestions from the online capital improvement survey has been instrumental in guiding park improvements. We also rely on input from the Parks and Recreation Commission and City Council. We have participants that are both the youngest in our community and the oldest in our community. We offer a variety of classes and programs to cater to the residents' needs. We welcome visitors, enticing them to enjoy clean, green Boulder City parks and trails, or to visit one of our special events like Art in the Park, Spring Jam, Jamboree, Wurst Fest, and the list goes on and on. Boulder City is known for special events, and with the help from every other department, we coordinate over 200 special events each year. This wide array of diverse offerings, scheduled and coordinated through our office, a previous mayor described as requiring a Herculean effort, which is only possible by extraordinary team. The Parks and Recreation Department is made up of 11 dedicated, full-time employees. These faces may look familiar to you as they've remained strong since last year. No full-time turnover within our department, and we were excited to grow with last year's conversion of a 32-hour part-time position upgraded to a full-time position. Aquatics Coordinator, Sierra Biggs, and Assistant Coordinator, newly to the city, Katie Tyler, handle pool programs and day-to-day operations at the pool. Sports Coordinator, Jamie Gowdy, oversees youth and adult sports. She handles field allocations and summer camps. Our 4 custodians, Ryan, Matt, Kim, and Michael, are faithfully cleaning our parks, restrooms, playgrounds, facilities, and assisting with community events. Recreation Coordinator Michelle Fuller coordinates special interest classes, community gardens, art center, and Safe Key. Department Secretary Sherry Bunk handles administrative items including payroll, accounting, and meeting packet preparations. Parks and Recreation Manager Jennifer Spinkelink oversees projects, grant submittals, and luckily anything else I throw her way. As the director, I can attest to Mr. Woodbury's observation in that it does take a Herculean effort necessary for us to do what we do. As the director, I am fortunate to have such an amazing staff, but really, the community is the fortunate one to have such dedicated Parks and Recreation employees to greet you with a smile, assist you with anything that you need, and make every effort to provide solutions. But don't just take my word for it, because I am very biased. Here are some comments from residents and visitors regarding Parks and Recreation staff. The staff went above and beyond with assisting. I was so thankful. Excellent customer service. Everything about the staff, the facility, the responsive service was outstanding. Thank you so much for the update and taking the time to consider feedback from the community. Thanks for keeping the Ram Cam going. The parks are always so nice and clean. Your energy made the event much more organized and professional. I loved having someone check you in and greet you when you came to the summer sports camps. Thank you for keeping us informed. I appreciated the phone call. I purposefully eliminated the individuals' names with these survey comments because I believe that these positive comments could be associated with any of our part-time and full-time Parks and Recreation staff. But we couldn't do it without the help of every other department. Collaborating with every city department is what we all do to get the job done. I do have to say that I have to give a special shout out to the Public Works Department. I really feel like they're an extension of our department. They're always willing to assist Parks and Rec in so many ways, from pool maintenance to street closures to playground tear-outs and new swing installation. We appreciate that they're always there to lend a hand. Parks and Rec by the numbers. I'm going to highlight some of the different numbers from our department from the last year. Last summer, the sports department organized 12 different summer camps for ages 4 to 14 with almost 2,000 participants generating over $25,000 in revenue. Our department won 3 awards from the Nevada Recreation and Park Society. The Elmer H. Anderson Park Excellent Award was awarded to Hemingway Park for the Nature Trail, Oasis Park for Adaptive category, and Xeriscape Park for a park remodel. While our department didn't secure a large amount of grant funding, staff did apply and receive over $10,000 in grants last year. Part-time Safe Key Coordinator Lexi Leos applied and received a $500 grant to attend our state NRPS conference, eliminating the need to use department training funds. Staff applied and received a grant from Pool Pack for 2 of our pool employees to get certified as pool operators, again saving departmental training funds. 178 Boulder City residents took advantage of our swim grant. This was the first time that I can recall that we have exhausted all of our swim grant funds. It was an impressive 170% increase in participation from 2024. Luckily, we just received another swim grant from SNICC, and the free swim lessons will again be offered in April. We applied for an athletic field lighting grant from Musco, a master's swim grant from USA Swimming, and one for splash pad renovations. And while we didn't receive any of those, it didn't discourage us from continuing to apply. Manager Spinkelink and sports coordinator Gowdy applied for a national $2,500 Million Coaches Challenge, which we did receive. It was from Nike, the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, to provide coaches training focused on encouraging youth participation. Our requirement was to have our staff and coaches participate in the online training videos. The best part was the $2,500 grant could be used at our discretion. And I think we put the funds to good use. With some of the money from the grant, staff planned and executed an employee appreciation event, including food, games, and prizes, to recognize and appreciate our hardworking staff. This event was so successful, it's going to be an annual tradition moving forward. The total number of rounds at our golf courses increased by almost 8%, with over 125,000 rounds in 2025. Our pickleball courts also increased to 19 with the addition of the 4 new courts at Veterans Memorial Park. This year was the year of the signs, and I said I would bring a prop, and I also have a pretty good visual of just a few of the new signs that we've added to our parks. With changes in infrastructure or changes in regulations like camping in Boulder City or dogs on a leash, our department adapts with the new rules, laws, and ordinances, and that comes with the need for new signs and community education. Off-leash areas, off-leash hours, leash up and pickup, camping permit required, no electric bikes on grass, no bikes on the pickleball courts. It's been a busy year for new signage. Over 100 signs were purchased, and so far, with the help of the street department, the public has been notified. We've also included the updated information on social media and our city's website so that our community and visitors are aware. The Ram Cam is again a favorite of people really all over the world, with over 70,000 views just last year. The Parks and Recreation staff oversees 13 divisions, 13 separate budgets totaling over $7 million funded through the general fund. These operation and maintenance budget cover ongoing costs to run the divisions, including salaries, maintenance, training, and supplies. These are typically reoccurring expenses for the day-to-day function of the division. As you can see, the budgets for the 13 divisions actually totaled just over $7.6 million. However, we really try to be diligent and track our spending and make sure that we only are using budgetary funds as needed. Our total expended budget funds from last year only totaled $6.9 million. Unlike other city departments, the Parks and Recreation Department typically has a nominal fee for many of its services and generates revenue to the general fund to help offset expenses. Most of the revenue is driven by the strong performance of our golf courses. The total revenue generated from Parks and Recreation programs, classes, sports, special events, tournaments, and rounds of golf totaled over $6.3 million. And just to put that into perspective, Boulder City property taxes generate $2.2 million to the general fund. More specifically, in fiscal year 2025, golf revenues exceeded golf operational expenses and contributed approximately $1 million to the general fund. Much of the success of our golf courses can be contributed to our partners, Shaper Golf and Turf Tech. This long-standing partnership with Shaper Golf for golf operations and concessions and Turf Tech for golf course maintenance spans over 2 decades. That consistency and dedication to Boulder City Golf and the community is reflected in the continued success of our golf courses. Effective marketing like the loyalty program Golf Boulder City, combined with the well-maintained courses, have made a recipe for success for the entire Boulder City community. Major events like the NCAA championships held at Boulder Creek for the last few years bring exposure to Boulder City, enhancing our town's visibility as a destination showcase our community and local business to a broader audience. It's been a busy year for Parks and Recreation, and it can be categorized by people, progress, partners, and programs. And I also want to highlight how many of these accomplishments align with the city's strategic plan. Progress is built on a consistent effort, and this year reflects important forward momentum. The pool progress is a cause for celebration. This is going to be a major contribution for all ages to enjoy for many years to come. This has really been a long time coming, and it's exciting to see the progress with the pool renderings from VCBO, and it's nice to have received so many favorable responses from residents. But progress isn't always measured in such large leaps. Many of our parks and playgrounds have been improved this last year. Del Prado has had a full playground renovation, including our very own park zip line. This transformation from an outdated, underutilized playground to a favorite spot for residents and visitors is a testament to the department's desire to provide a variety of playground experiences throughout our community to support physical health, social interaction, and overall quality of life. In the past few years, 5 of our parks have had major playground renovations, and we aren't done yet. In the fall of 2025, pickleball players, residents, council members, and staff celebrated the opening of 4 new pickleball courts at Veterans Memorial Park. The Parks and Recreation's foundation to serve people in our community, and they truly drive what we do. This year, the department has been focused on reaching out to the community with the increased number of social media posts, regular updates on our website, and even some personal phone calls. Our goal is to get the accurate information out to our residents and keep them informed of activities, programs, classes, and special events to encourage community engagement. We've begun sending class program evaluations regularly to measure our productivity and gauge participant satisfaction, knowing that there's always probably room for improvement. We have updated signage within our parks and on our trails to inform our park users of pertinent information. In addition to coordinating several special events, Coordinator Fuller organized a new special event for our community, Jazz in the Park. Held in the spring and in the fall, Jazz in the Park is a special time where you can set up a picnic, grab a lawn chair, and get outdoors to enjoy a free night of jazz in Bicentennial Park. Mark your calendars for April 4th. That's the next Jazz in the Park. Partnerships are essential to success. Bringing shared resources, expertise, and vision produces a more meaningful outcome and really strengthens the entire community. We work closely with local nonprofits like the Chamber, Emergency Aid of Boulder City, Little League, and so many more. We were honored to partner with the Shane Patton Memorial Foundation this year with the addition of the statue at Wilbur Square. We work closely with the school district and provide sports fields, parks, the pool, and even our golf courses for practices and competition. We've also partnered with our local principals to help promote school enrollment. Last fall, we hosted Astronomy in the Park at Veterans Memorial Park with Commissioner Jim Gibson and Clark County. Programs bring our community to life, creating opportunities to connect, participate, and learn new skills. The NCAA College Championship have taken place at Boulder Creek for the last 3 years. With the partnership with LVCVA, this tournament provides a unique opportunity for our residents to connect with this high level of competition and provides national visibility to Boulder City and drives economic activity to our town. The department's new 3D programming empowers participants to turn ideas into creations and improves problem solving and critical thinking. Progress, people, partnerships, and programs drive what we do and are the key to our accomplishments this year. What's ahead for Parks and Recreation? More of the same. Our focus will continue to be improving existing infrastructure. This week, shade structures are being installed at Oasis Park Playground. Lights will be added to the pickleball and basketball courts at Veterans Memorial Park and Del Prado Park. A small turf reduction water conservation project is scheduled for the rec center exterior, and the new gym floors and bleachers will be upgraded. The municipal golf course water conservation turf reduction project continues with the installation of a more efficient irrigation system. The new pool design will be completed and construction will begin this fall, with the pool opening date being 2028. We will continue to organize special events and host a few of our own, like Jazz in the Park, Summer Bash, and Astronomy in the Park. The Boulder City Parks and Recreation Department takes pride knowing the community and serving the community. We remain committed to making it the best it can be. Mayor, council members, and Boulder City residents, thank you for the opportunity to share this year's Parks and Recreation Annual Review.
Thank you. Questions?
I'll go first. Thank you, Ms. Callaway, for such an in-depth presentation. I do have just a few questions for you. Safe Key is close to my heart. How many kids actually attend Safe Key, and is that a free, or do they have to pay for it? How does that work?
Safe Key does, it is a paid-for service before and after school, and then all day during the summer and on school breaks. And in the summer, we average somewhere around 35 to 40 kids, and the mornings and afternoons really vary. We could have anywhere from 15 to 30 any given day. It varies. We don't have to have you, there is no set schedule. You can just drop in one day, or you can come every single day. So we just make sure that we have staff, it's staffed accordingly to be able to accommodate whoever might show up that day.
Okay, is there a incentive for low-income children to attend?
There is. We do have a scholarship program that we offer through our office. If anybody needs financial assistance, we can certainly help with that.
On your sheet, you said there was 11,252 memberships with the rec center. Is that 2025? Is that counted just for 1 year, or?
So that is total. We started our new recreation program, registration program. I believe we're on year 3. So that is, since its inception, that's how many members we have within our registration system. So that would be anybody who comes in to do one of the classes, or holds a special event, or rents one of our parks. They would all start that process with having an account in our registration system, which we call Rec Desk.
Okay, yes, that's what I saw on there. Internet sales, what is that?
One more time?
Internet sales.
Internet sales. We have an agreement with the local airports for confiscated goods, and this started with, I think I said COVID the other day. This started with 9/11, and how the rules changed on what you couldn't take on an airplane. So things that are confiscated, like pocket knives, corkscrews, that type of thing. When TSA acquires them, they needed to find a means by which to get rid of them. So they made agreements with jurisdictions and said, if you can come up with a program to resell these, internet sales. We have an individual in Boulder City who goes to the different airports and has great relationships with them, and then he sells the goods on his site, and the city receives funds from that.
Well, it's good to know my large shampoos is coming right back to Boulder City.
It may just be.
On your 26 film shoots, is that collaborating with the chamber, or do you get paid? Do we charge for film shoots? How does that work?
We do charge for film shoots, and we have a partnership with the Nevada Film Office. So they highlight some of our information and our locations on their website, and they bring us business or just anybody that's coming in that is either doing a film shoot, primarily at the El Dorado Dry Lake, but we have films going on in our rec center or across town or at one of our parks. And it's a permit, much like a special event permit. There's fees associated with it, insurance requirements, etc.
Okay, my last question is youth sports donation. Is that just coming from the public? Who's giving those donations?
It is mostly public businesses in town that are giving those donations. And we take sponsorship and donation for our youth programs. If you ever have seen one of our sports participants, they'll be sporting a Parks and Rec t-shirt, and on the back it might say Sunrise Rotary, or it might say Boulder Dam Credit Union, or Ace Hardware, and so they help offset the expenses for uniforms and supplies by sponsoring the teams.
Thank you. As a child growing up in the inner city of New York, rec centers was my home after school and home. And so I appreciate all that you do for not just the children, for the adults. I look forward to the pool and all that that's going to bring in. And I just thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I wanted to say thank you very much. You guys do a great job. I, too, am the oldest of 5 kids and grew up at Parks and Rec. We all learned to swim at Parks and Rec, and that was my favorite thing. What I was really impressed with is Parks and Recs is not a revenue stream for us, really, but you guys have made it into a revenue stream. We're not working in the hole with you, and so I really appreciate that. And there's so many great offerings out there for anybody to have something to do, from the little ones to us oldsters. And so thank you so much for all your hard work and your diligence in keeping it a budget the way you do. And I really appreciate the way you put the budget in here, and I hope everybody gets to look at it because it's just real easy to read. It's just one page and you get the whole picture. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kind of an observation, I guess, is that it actually ends up being a revenue stream. That 6.3 million equates to about 15% of the $40 million budget. It's substantial. And I appreciate that. I couldn't imagine that there's any individual in Boulder City that is not touched in some way by services from Parks and Rec or participation at some level. And we sometimes hear, well, why do we pay for that? I don't use it. But everything that's here in relation to recreation is funded through the community, right? Through your local government to serve you, whatever you happen to touch. And we all share in those because recreation increases the quality of life of your community. And then through an increased quality of life, a better quality of life, we have just generally happier and healthier individuals. And that's through the endeavors of you and all of the people that you commented on in your, and that's really appreciated that you, in a detailed way, point out the efforts of all of the folks that are seeking to provide the Parks and Rec services to the community, because every one of them is critical to the mission.
Absolutely. We wear a lot of hats, and with only 11 full-time employees, of which 4 of those are custodians, there's a lot of programs and scheduling and coordination, and we have an amazing team, and we rely heavily on our part-time employees. We could not do it without them, and we could also not do it without the support of Parks and Rec Commission, the members in front of me today, and of course our residents as well. They, as you know, are very passionate about all things Boulder City, and it's a pleasure to work with them, and to be able to have those one-on-one conversations makes a world of difference.
Yeah, well, thank you.
The joy of going at the end is everyone said what you wanted to say. So I was also going to point out with 13 budgets and divisions that someone somewhere is falling inside of that zone of what your purview is. If we've walked in a park, if we've enjoyed anything of that sort, it benefits us. We don't all golf, we don't all swim, we don't all play pickleball, but we do all live here, and we have varied interests, and that's what makes a community wonderful. And you're in charge of entertaining us all. So that is a lot of hats to wear, and that is a lot of things to do. I was super impressed with 69% online registration. That was a piloted program a couple years ago. Up to that point, we all had to walk in and show you the money. And so now we can do that online and sign up for classes, and I think that's huge. 69%, that's really means that it's taking off and people are understanding how to do it. So kudos for that, implementation of that. 200 special events. Good job. Very,
you.
very good job. Summer camps, 12 summer camps last year. Do you anticipate that many this year again?
Yes. It was, as you can see, so successful. The kids had so much fun. The first day of it, I must say, it was a little unsettling. It was very loud. So it took a minute to, get used to it, and then I loved it. I'd leave the office to go to a meeting and just walk through the gym and just see those kids having so much fun. And honestly, having our staff have so much fun, just to play and enjoy and teach and learn and see their friends, high fives. It was a great addition to our summers.
I'm so appreciative of that. I know parents are. I've heard nothing but good. I think it provides a place for our kids during the summer that's safe, and gives them positive, engaged things to do, which is important, right, for their well-being, as stated. So swim grants being used, 170% increase. Let's see if we can't exhaust it again this year. Let's just exhaust the funds.
We'll do it.
And get us all swimming. But more importantly, thank you for working well, not just with your staff, with the staff that comes outside of your office and with us. You have had to also have the opportunity to work with the community through our new leash law and our parks. I appreciate your willingness to take a pilot program of hours at the park and embrace it and try to help see how it can be successful so that it opens the ability for all of us to enjoy the park the way that we enjoy it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
One of the things that I appreciate is the jobs that our teenagers, for instance, have, lifeguarding, learning such life skills that allow our teenagers to find out what it's like to work. And speaking of work, it's wonderful to have experienced personally some injuries that take place during some of those fun times. And so it's good for other businesses too. But,
we're here to help.
Yeah, it's a great place. We appreciate it. Thank you for what you do, and let your staff know of our appreciation too, please.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments?
I do have one last comment. I was glad that I didn't hear you say laptop, phones, or computers. Sounds like everything is offline, and I really am for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure on that one. Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to serve the community that I call home. So thank you.
Thank you. Having celebrated so many good things, we should celebrate a recess for about 10 minutes. Thank you.
That'll
So
work.
we will be in recess for 10 minutes.
Jackie left. My neighbors left. They were out there. My neighbors were out there. They left. Oh, thank you for the break, Mayor.
Welcome.
My legs. Are we almost ready? Stand by, mics are going to go live.
Oh, sorry, could you get by me? I did.
Seven.
We're making sure we have the other people. We will call the meeting back to order, and we are on number 7.
Good evening, Mayor Hardy, members of City Council. Michael Mays, your Deputy City Manager. The city follows all other Southern Nevada jurisdictions by adopting the International Code Council building codes, or what we refer to as the I codes. These codes regulate building construction in the community. Excuse me. City is currently under the 2018 I codes. For the past year, the city has been working with the other jurisdictions in evaluating the 2024 I codes. The three most significant changes between the 2018 I codes and the 2024 codes are that with the new codes, they require that new single-family homes have residential sprinkler systems installed. The new codes also are more energy efficient. And the third major change is that the installation of evaporative cooling systems for new commercial and industrial buildings will be prohibited. The only exception is the opportunity to utilize treated effluent in a limited capacity. Adoption of the new building codes requires a business impact statement that has been attached to the staff report. And so council adoption of Bill number 2095 will bring the city in line with the other jurisdictions in Southern Nevada with an effective date of June 8th. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but in conferral with the city attorney, she said we have the potential to discuss a minor amendment. And at the right time, if there are no questions, I'd like to bring that up to the discussion.
Any questions before we have amendment?
I do have one question. You made a statement, influence use or limited use of affluent water. So what did you mean by that?
So, for example, with our treatment plant, we generate about 1 million gallons of treated effluent per day. So that would provide the opportunity to utilize treated effluent on a limited basis for evaporative cooling systems, but not potable water, not raw water.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think we're interested in it.
Fair enough, thank you. Because Boulder City, in our unique downtown area, during some of the warmer months of the year, our restaurants really thrive on outdoor dining. And oftentimes the indoor seating is insufficient, so we have to be outdoors on the sidewalk, and it can either get, depending on the time of year, pretty cold or pretty warm. So I would like to propose a very simple amendment that the new evaporative cooling moratorium exclude misting cool systems in outdoor public dining areas. Is that a sufficient, simple?
Yes.
Okay. So that's my presentation for consideration by council as a slight text amendment for that. I believe that, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just. Is it inclusive of the language that's written right now? It does include the misting systems for the outdoor dining?
Yes, evaporative cooling typically doesn't, that term typically does include the misting type systems.
Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, I think, and the times of year or the seasons will self-regulate. I don't think the restaurants are interested in doing all the maintenance required to keep them functional and run them when they don't need to. It's strictly for the comfort of the diners and those that are visiting here over the weekends, et cetera, to make the opportunity for outdoor dining tolerable during certain parts of the year. And the water use in those is really very, very minimal relative to the benefit. So that's the slight language proposal I'd like to have the council
Can I ask
consider.
what section that's in? And I didn't know it referred to misters.
So this would be in section 5.4.4. It's on page 359 of the packet.
Oh, 359 of the packet, not on the page.
Section 5.4.4. There and
I've got page 8, or what page of it is it on?
it's on page well, it goes into 360 of the packet, which is page 10 of 14 of Exhibit A.
Page 10?
Of 14 on Exhibit A, yeah. And we're in section.
Page 10? And then what, number 14? I don't have a 14 on page 10.
Well, it's page 10 of the Exhibit A to the bill. Is that?
What? Page 10, page 10 is talking about 106 permits.
Yeah, so that's the building administrative code. There are multiple sections of the building code. What I'm referring to here is the section of our ordinances, which immediately follow the bill. It's pages 359 and 360 of the packet. Do you have page numbers on the?
It's 359, I've got to go to 359. I just wanted to see, I
360.
didn't.
If I can approach, I could show, I could.
Please.
Yes, because I'm lost with what I was told.
While she's lost, quote unquote, do other jurisdictions allow a separate misting thing in their building code?
Our city attorney says yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they
And
do.
so the ones that are, if this is a building, do they need a permit to do misting separate and distinct if they're already built?
No, if they're existing, they wouldn't need the permit, but I think the intent of Councilmember Walton's amendment is that if any businesses want to add it, which would require a plumbing permit, they would be allowed to do so.
So the plumbing permit would require part of the business code that we're talking about.
The building codes, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
so it's not necessarily a new building, but it could be any building permit that ever happens. And so this building code that we're looking at now includes any remodel, any new building, any current building that you add that's something that is additional, it would apply to all of those.
That is correct, Mayor. So whenever anybody comes in and is needing to do work on a house or commercial property, and it requires a building permit, they will have to follow the updated codes.
Okay. And do other municipalities, have they considered this kind of thing as well, or has the state considered this as well?
Other jurisdictions have considered exempting misters as part of the code updates.
And the state has been silent on that.
I'm not aware of any state regulations related to that.
Okay. So should there be something, and we adopt the amendment as proposed, we would be in good, not only in good company, but we would have a fait accompli, so that when we go to the legislature, we can say we're already doing that.
Yes.
Not that I'm suspicious of the legislature coming up with something. So if we already are doing it, I think we're in a good position to say we deserve to continue to do it. So I appreciate you bringing that up specifically.
And I do too. I found it over here because it says here that the city may permit on a limited basis evaporative systems in new commercial or industrial buildings that use city effluent. Because I was reading through this on Sunday. And so it says that, but I think it's referring to something else, correct?
Correct. That is referring to treated effluent from our treatment plant. So that would not involve misters.
How could a city commercial building use that kind of water?
So it could be utilized for cooling of a commercial building with treated effluent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just thought we had exempted it here, but we haven't. So that's why I wanted to see it. So I'm good with Steve's recommendation, real good with it.
So did you make a motion?
I'm happy to make one. I move that with the adoption, let me get to the actual number so I can make a complete motion here. With the adoption of Bill 2095, I propose that we add clarifying language that allows misting and whatever the exact language, I'm going to say misting cooler systems for public outdoor dining areas. Be an additional language to be included in the section that addresses evaporative cooling.
I'll second that.
Could I ask if that could include even if you're not eating? Not just including dining, but being outdoors?
North Las Vegas and the city of Henderson both have similar exceptions, and their exact language is that evaporative cooling systems do not include misting systems.
So just say that.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to add the language as accepting Bill 2095 to state that evaporative cooling systems does not include misting systems.
I'll approve that second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mays. So we now have two introductions. Introduction of Bill number 2096. Waive the reading except for title.
I'll introduce Bill 2096, waive the reading except for title.
Is there a second?
Second. We don't need a second on an introduction.
Introduced, and then Bill number 2097.
I have to read Bill number 296, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, amending Boulder City Municipal Code, Title 11, Zoning and Subdivisions, Chapter 3, R1, Single Family Residential Zone, to authorize heliport private as a conditional use within the R180 zone, subject to certain conditions. AM-25-383. This matter will be considered by the City Council on April 14th, 2026.
Thank you. And then we'll move to bill number 2097, the same verbiage.
I'll move to introduce bill number 2097, waive the reading except for title.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill number 2097, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, approving agreement number 26-032 between the City of Boulder City and VB BTS Third LLC for a cellular tower ground lease located adjacent to Wayland Field at approximately 852 Adams Boulevard, and other matters properly related thereto. This matter will be considered by City Council on April 14th, 2026.
Thank you. Brings us to our regular business, item number 10. Mr. Mays?
Liberty Ridge subdivision is a 122-lot, single-family subdivision located at the southwest corner of Adams Boulevard and Bristol Cone, as you can see on the map on the screen. The tentative map for the subdivision was approved by the City Council on October 14th, 2025. The developer, Toll Brothers, is now seeking final map approval for Phase 1 of the development. And to highlight that, this of course shows the entire 122-lot subdivision that received tentative map approval. And the colors denote the different phases. And so what Toll is seeking approval for tonight is final map approval for the two areas that are bordered by blue. So as you can see down by Country Club, that section is referred to as Phase 1, and the section in the middle of the development is also part of Phase 1. On January 21st, 2026, the Commission recommended approval of the final map 7-0. And as you can see on the screen, this shows in greater detail the final map segments showing the development. In response to resident concerns regarding elevations along Bristol Cone, the developer has made modifications to Lot 28. They've also put together renderings to help show the public and the council what the development would look like. You may have noticed out on the site they have put up plywood to show and represent what the perimeter wall and the retaining wall would look like adjacent to Lot 28 in the colored segments on this elevation. And they've also created renderings to show what it would look like once developed and fully landscaped. So in response to resident concerns, Toll Brothers has reevaluated the wall and the retaining wall in this segment adjacent to Lot 28 and has committed to having the development pad for the home meet the elevation of the corresponding house, the existing house across the street, within two sections of this lot, and that is shown in this rendering, and a copy has been provided to the council along with a letter from Toll Brothers. So their commitment is for both the pad elevation and the perimeter wall to match the elevations directly across the street from this lot. Before you is resolutions 8111 and 8112, which would approve both the final maps. Another condition that Toll Brothers is committed to with respect to this Lot 28 to respond to resident concerns is that they would only allow for a single-story home on this lot. And so with that summary overview of the considerations of the final map, I can answer questions, and Toll Brothers is here to answer council questions.
Questions? Go ahead.
So I have a question with relation to, we've divided it into two sections. So the one section is up across from the LDS church that is sitting there, right? That's A. Then B is that second section. So if one or both were approved tonight, what's the next steps then in the process for Toll Brothers? What are they seeking? So with this approval, how does that set you on pace for building? What's next?
Next are building permits for the individual lots and finalizing the grading for the site.
And if we approve just one section of it, and then 2 weeks later another, or whatever, that would be right, does that put you behind in that process?
I'll let Toll respond to that question.
Thank you, Council and Mayor. Mr. Mays, appreciate it. Yes, to answer that question, the next steps for the final map are not just as establishing legal lots, easements, and roadways for the communities for the two separate parcels. That also allows us to continue forward, like Mr. Mays said, with building permits, as well as filing for our real estate exemption, which eventually allows us to get to public open for sale. So there's a few different working processes that go along with this map that are separate from the grading approval that's associated with the civil improvement plans.
Okay, the reason I ask is clearly, and I know that you know, because you've been standing out on that property the same as me. I stood out on it and the truck came and pushed me off of it, and I was like, oh, okay. But you know that the residents in that area have been there for 20 plus years, and so have grown accustomed to what their view and or what they're used to, and I'm one of those people. Full disclosure, I live over there, so I'm happy to say that. I think my concern tonight, it does not fall in good faith with you. I have good faith that what you presented to us tonight about 15, 20 minutes before, right, to come to a conclusion to help those who are concerned in this area, that I do think is a very good conclusion. But I feel like, as someone voting, that they need to have eyes on it, and they haven't really had a chance to have eyes on it to tell me, right? Because they have contacted me and talked to me and told me their concerns regarding this. And I want to know that this addresses their concerns, and I haven't had time to hear that. I feel like it addresses them, but I'm just one person living over there, right? And I'm a representative. And that's what I do up here. I represent people and my constituents. So at this point, that's why I'm asking, because I feel like, okay, we've solved the first part over there in phase 1. I think the main concerns are coming in phase 2. Would you agree?
That's where the main concerns have been coming from the neighborhood. Yes.
Okay, so
specifically lot 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's forever going to be known as Lot 28.
Yeah.
Never again will it have any other name. Whoever purchases that will be known as the owners of Lot 28. So if we proposed to, could you start the process on phase 1 of that section? And then if they came back and this was great and they did like it, and it comes back in 2 weeks and we approve it, will that put you in a position to start on 2 quickly enough?
Well, we were hoping so. The grading plans or the civil improvement plans, again, are technically a separate approval process from the final map. One section, there's also, we have our allotments that are associated with this development that we have to use before they expire. So to get through those allotments, there's 27 lots in phase 1. We would solely be relying on those, or we would rely on those ahead of the phase 2, or we call it the Toll Brothers phase 1 area. So we're hoping that And by issuing the letter that we did and making the commitments on record that we are continuing to work with city staff, we're willing to meet with residents, we're willing to have the discussions to get to a point where everybody is as happy as they can be with the proposals. And I think in showing our latest proposal with pad grades and wall heights equating to the properties just on the east side of Bristlecone, that we're at a point where we're meeting all of the demands that we've talked about, answering all the questions, and getting to a point where that it really we're ready to move to the next steps.
And I do feel like you have done that, and you've worked well with the residents, and you have multiple meetings, and you've put up plywood, and you've done really, you've done everything to be a good partner in that way. I just haven't heard from the people that I've heard from before to say this is something that they think will work. And that's all I'm saying, and was curious of how impactful that would be for you in your process.
So specifically holding the phase 2 parcel or final map 2, that would delay that portion of the project
For 2 weeks, possibly?
Yeah, at whatever time frame. And our opinion is because that's an unrelated or not a technically related process with the civil improvement plans. We're still working through the civil improvement plans, having those discussions, making sure we understand the concerns there, and making sure we address those before those plans are approved.
What securities are there available in the civil improvement plans that it will be brought to a conclusion that is good for both sides? Say we approve both of these, right? And then we just have your word, or is there something more that says, yes, that's going to happen?
Sure, yeah.
So all of those final grading plans are subject to city approval. And so we have Toll Brothers' commitment through the rendering and the letter that was provided tonight, and we would ensure at a staff level that they would fully comply with that.
Yeah, I think, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Koki.
I'm sorry, Steve. I received this tonight. I think the biggest problem for me, I got this rendering, and it shows a rooftop on it and a building. No one has told me exactly the height here. I can't read what I received from you guys, the height of these. The middle one looks like it's the lowest one.
Those are the elevation drawings for the homes.
Okay, and do we know how high these buildings are from, the top one looks very high, the middle one looks perfect, and the bottom one looks like it's almost too high.
Yeah, so that's a sample of the home renderings that have been provided for single-story models in the development. Looking at the specific information about maximum height, and this is at the peak, not the average height of the roof, they range between 20 feet and 24 feet.
Okay, so the one in the middle would be 20 feet then?
Yeah, roughly. We're giving an example because there are about 9 or 10 different versions of single-story homes that are contemplated for this. But to respond to council concerns, we provided a couple examples, and we have the range. And so again, to clarify, the maximum height is at the very peak, so between 20 and 24, but that's not the average roof height. That would be lower.
Okay, I have another question for this gentleman here then. So is there a way that I know you don't have to and all that stuff, to ensure that we had just the 20 feet there instead of the 25 or the 26 on lot 28? I'm talking about lot 28.
So yes, so on that lot, we've made the commitment that will be a single-story home, not a two-story, which we also have in the product mix.
And you'll keep that one story down to 20 feet instead of 25?
Until that home is selected, we're not sure which plan exactly will fit on that lot or will be plotted on that lot.
I've gone some places where they say only this home on this lot. You're not willing to do that?
We can make the commitment that it will be a single story.
But
Yes.
it could go over 25.
Up to 25 is the
25,
maximum,
okay.
yeah.
Then I think we should wait for 2 weeks and let the citizens have the opportunity to speak to Toll Brothers before I make that decision.
Michael, if you might come back, please. Thank you, Mr. Summers. I think the concern that that the residents and some of council members hold is when we say the final grading plans are subject to city approval, that that won't be necessarily or potentially not vetted in the same way that we've had these conversations with Mr. Summers. I think there's a certain sentiment that that's some of the conversation could have been softened already by staff without the intervention of the residents having to be the ones to essentially be the ones to bring it up as a concern. And because of that, I think therefore the final grading plan subject to city approval gives a degree of discomfort to some council members as well as to the neighbors. Can we talk a little bit more about how that could occur or what we might see in the final grading plan process? And I'm asked this, I'm inclined to get them rolling as quickly, as timely as we can. Now, 2 weeks, does it matter to us from our seat? Maybe not. Does it matter to them? I think it does. I think you've expressed that it does. And so I'd like to find a way to vote an affirmative for tonight. But also from the staff side, when we talk about the final grading plans being approved, basically through their permitting and the final grading process with staff, if we could have some reasonable certainties that that's going to be guarded, by staff for the concerns that have been expressed by the residents.
So, Councilmember Walton, staff takes very seriously the concerns the residents have raised regarding this development. Our staff have been working diligently to evaluate with Toll Brothers the best way to respond to the concerns. When we met with folks out there on the 17th, the residents had proposed a couple alternative designs as to a way to address their principal concern about the height of Lot 28. Our staff, and I can have our Public Works Utility Director, Gary Poindexter, come up here and elaborate, looked very closely at those alternative options. And while Toll was able to do some modifications to help reduce, in particular, the backyards of several of the lots, unfortunately, a more aggressive reduction in the lots along Honor Lane would then complicate the ability for the utility to be put in place. And so we understand that we're responding to resident concerns, but staff has been fully committed to trying to address those concerns in a way that would meet the residents' needs. And so you have my commitment that we will follow through to ensure compliance with the commitments that Toll has made.
Thank you. Mr. Summers, are these, the scenario 1 and 2, considered what your engineers view as the kind of last best offer, so to speak?
Well, these contemplate every adjustment that we were able to make, considering, like Mr. May said, everything from utilities, and that has to do with the depth of the utilities and minimum ground cover over that. It also contemplates drainage, different drainage scenarios, and different grading and wall configurations to get everything as low as possible as far as the pad grade and that wall height. So these are kind of the two, as everything is whittled down, these are the two best options that we've discovered thus far to achieve both of those goals and getting everything as low as possible, as close to that natural grade, and as close to the adjacent homes on the east side of Bristlecone.
Thank you. I think, for my 2 cents, I think we've seen a lot of effort by both staff and toll representatives to do as much as possible to listen purposefully, to take some of the ideas that have been proposed and see if some of those work. I am really grateful that you said, well, it's not my idea, so it's not doable or not worth considering, that you've been very open. And so I feel confident that going forward, while I do hear some residents say, look, we lose our leverage, right? If we approve this and then it's a runaway train and we have no control over it. And honestly, I don't really see that as the issue. I feel that both staff as well as toll is going to continue to work as far as we can get on that. And therefore, the delay, for the various purposes which you already named, the few of them matter to the process. So thank you for that explanation.
Absolutely, yeah. and I appreciate that, and that goes to when we go in and do developments, we don't just come in and develop and walk away. We are contributing to this community, and we honor and respect that. We want to be good partners. We want to be good neighbors. That's why we're more than willing to have the extra meetings, to go the extra mile, to have the conversations, to understand the concerns, and to present as many options and scenarios as we possibly can to come to the best overall solution. And we're still committed, like the letter says, and like we verbally stated on record, we're willing to continue working toward those efforts.
Yeah, thank you, and I do appreciate that statement because this shows the commitment. And we can always say, but you said, right, and I think that alleviates a lot of the concerns that we're gonna just be then tossed aside. We meaning those that have expressed concerns as neighbors. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Based on that, I'm not seeing any impediments in my view for proceeding with their approval for the final map.
Would it be possible, since this is a new add-on, for you in layman terms, maybe, right, for those who wouldn't be here, to pull up scenario 1 and 2 and explain the changes that you've made according to what you have here? Because this is beautiful, but not everyone can understand exactly what this is saying in terms of what our visual will be.
Absolutely. Can we pull it up? Yeah.
Just bring up the power. Thank you.
I think it's in there. Yeah.
There's scenario 1. Then just advance it for scenario 2 right there.
Okay. Scenario 1 is the current fully reviewed proposal. So this shows a current pad elevation of 45.3. It's actually 2345.3. That's the survey elevation above sea level. Over to the right, where it shows the cross section, 45.0. Over to the right, where it shows the cross section, the upper cross section is the direct line or segment from that portion, the upper portion of the lot, to the adjacent property on the east side of Bristlecone. The pad elevation on that side is at 2344.5. And again, the lot 28 elevation is 2345.0. That's 0.5 feet or 6 inches above the pad height to the east. Because the lot, the way we're proposing the grading, as you move south or down Bristlecone, the back of that lot tapers down. So it's what we call B-type drainage, to where the front of the lot, the front portion of the house drains into the street in front, kind of with the driveway, and then the back portion of the house tapers down and drains toward the rear of the lot. And ultimately that drainage gets to the south end of the lot and then drains into the adjacent common element that you see on the plan view, distinguished by the two darker lines. It's a 5 foot wide common element that was created for this and will be maintained by the HOA. At the southern end of the lot, that lower cross-section on the right, that shows where the pad elevation is 2340.8, whereas on the east side of Bristlecone, that property pad elevation is 2340.3, and that's that 0.5 elevation difference, or 6 inches.
And for clarification, for those who are like, oh, what does that mean? That means the existing lots across the street from these properties, that's where their pad is at. So these are lots that are already existing, what their height is versus what you're proposing for your height.
Yes, and the cross sections show the relation between the two. To get to this scenario, we went through quite a few discussions when the concerns were first raised. We met with staff, had extensive meetings and discussions on how to address. So if you've been by the property, you'll notice the rear of that lot is higher. That was originally established as the entire pad was full A-type drainage, which means the entire pad was draining to the north into Honorline Street, or the street in front of the lot. That was done because this is not a golf course adjacent lot. So earlier discussions in the process with the city were established that only golf course adjacent lots were to have B-type drainage, where the back of the lot drains off into the golf course. Because this was not, the pad was raised so that the whole thing positively drains into that Honorline Street in front. So one of the first thoughts was, well, if we were able to lower and taper off the rear of that pad, what happens to the drainage? You can't just dump that into your neighbor's yard behind you, right? So that's why we established that common element that would allow that drainage, and not just put drainage in and make it the city's problem. It's going to be maintained by the HOA. So that drainage will always have a place to go, and it will always be maintained. The other thing that does is that allowed us to create some wall separation. So also, if you've been by the property, you'll notice the plywood panels that are there represent the lower retainer, and then approximately 5 feet set back is that screen wall. So that allows that separation. Per development code, we can't have more than 6 feet of wall facing, contiguous wall facing a public right-of-way. So that allows us to maintain that separation as well. In addition to scenario one,
Real quickly, will the elevation of the walls change then with the new height of the pad?
Yeah, so because that, mainly the upper screen wall sits on the pad elevation, so as that pad elevation adjusts down, that screen wall will also move down.
Do you have a rough estimate of how many feet from the front to the back, from what we visually see right now?
The linear distance of the wall?
No, the height.
The height is 6 feet maximum.
No, I know, but I'm saying right now, we have a visual that you've put in for us, right? But if you're lowering the pad, about how much lower would that then visually be if we saw that today?
You're asking versus the visual panels
Right
that are out
now.
there. So right now, that panel is 12 inches or 1 foot above this proposal, this proposed scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Scenario number 2 was established because we looked at the drainage in Honorline Street, and we were trying to figure out how to lower the street even more, even though the grade that drains at is 0.5%, 0.5%, which is very, very minimal to get water to actually flow. Much less than that, by the time you get to 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, water essentially doesn't drain. And as it, during 100-year flood events, when there's a lot of rain, it'll eventually back up the drainage, the surface drainage system. So that 0.5 is a minimum to maintain positive drainage. That continues through the community out to Honorline Street, and then eventually into Bristlecone, where it drains further south and collects into the storm drain system that we're constructing as well. So in looking at the street in front of Lot 28, we established that if we cut drainage off on the west side of the lot, this doesn't have a laser, does it? There is an additional valley gutter that we put on that runs across the street on the west side of Lot 28. that takes some additional flows and pushes it to the other side of the street. And that allows us to lower that street slightly. And then it runs out into east into Bristlecone and then continues along its way downstream. So in adjusting that drainage and lowering that street a little bit, we were able to gain an additional 6 inches lower on the pad height, the pad elevation. And then again, we show on the right side, we show the cross sections. This scenario, we actually had, you'll notice there's wall heights on here. So you'll see the lettering TSW. That represents top of screen wall. So we actually, because the concerns were addressed about the neighboring properties to the east and what the tops of those walls were at. So we had survey come out and actually take elevation shots on that wall to understand where our wall was in relation to that, to make sure we weren't above it. And so we were able to understand exactly where those were without guessing and establish per our plan that we were going to meet or be below that height.
Perfect, thank you. I really appreciate that because there's a lot of numbers in here and a lot of acronyms that we don't all completely understand. And I feel like if it's explained, then we get a better understanding of what we're looking at. So I really appreciate it. I would
Absolutely.
echo again that how much we appreciate your willingness to listen to the residents, how much we appreciate your willingness to consider things that might be brought up, right, that are new and implement them. And so thank you for these new scenarios and your commitment to these new scenarios, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate the neighbors working with us as well and us working with staff and everybody trying to work together to understand what the best solution is going to be for this.
I just want to say, I don't know if I made this clear or not, Toll Brothers makes a very nice product. You really do. And you're going to be a welcome site over there, and we appreciate that. I just felt that 2 weeks wouldn't hurt for the citizens to finish talking to you, because I just got these late tonight, and I didn't get to go over them. And I just would like to see harmony instead of aggravation going on from the beginning, because you do make a great product. So that's why I would like to see us hold off 2 weeks on phase 2. And I think you could still be moving forward if we did it that way and let the citizens realize where we're at and realize what their product's going to look like. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. I think you've been grilled tonight, rightly so. Question, so, there's a want, there's a desire, and there's a technical need. I mean, things that you just have to do. And I think being out there last Tuesday, listening to the residents, they want to know that they've been heard. That's one side of it. Then the other side of it is what technically has to be done via drainage and the other things, because you don't want to get to giving the residents what they want and somebody's backyard is full of water after the product is done. So I think we have to take in consideration what the design needs are versus what the residents want, and try to get a happy medium. Now, I thought that phase 1, which is 2 sides, that was going to be the first approval. I wasn't sure of phase 2. So you're working on phase 1 right now, correct?
We're working
if
on.
it's approved, you'll start working on the 2 phase 1s, the one on the south and a little bit to the north.
Correct.
I guess that's lot 28
Yes.
area.
Yeah, we had to, per survey law, we had to legally separate because they're not adjacent or touching, they're not contiguous parcels. We had to create the 2 separate final maps.
So in holding off on phase 2, wouldn't that be kind of a certainty that you're getting the product you want and there's not going to be any hiccups after the fact? Because, not to say that we rushed into it, because we've had a lot of talks, so it's not a rush, but to make sure what the residents want and what the technical design requires, those are met. And it may be one or the other. We could have both. You could be right in 2 instances, but we don't want phase 2 to be the need of the residents met and the technical need not met. Waiting 2 weeks, could we get a final on that technical, this will work, rather than, working on phase 1, and then I don't know how long it takes for phase 2 for you to get that surety that, or you already may have it. Phase 2 is going to work the way that lowering it. I mean, you've made a lot of changes in the last 2 weeks. And when you're talking about design, or technical design at that, you know, working with utility pipes and, you know, other things that are already in that area, electrical, is there a surety that everything's going to work? And would maybe waiting a week or two to make sure that that's going to happen. And if you could say without a doubt tonight, nope, we can make sure that this is going to work to satisfy the residents and also satisfy the technical design needs.
So I can give you two separate responses. One is going to be more directly responding to that, but the first part is as far as product was concerned. You had mentioned moving forward on phase one, the phase to the south, the final map to the south.
Phase ones.
Because of the differentiation in lot sizes, there are different products that are able to fit on those different lots. So the majority of the lots on the south are 7,000 to 10,000 square foot lots, whereas the northern phase, or phase two, has 10,000 to 15,000 plus square foot lots. So there's different products that are associated that can fit on that. So holding one, allowing the other to continue still hurts some of the products and when we're able to bring those into development.
Okay, so going from
I can offer a little bit more on the business aspect of the sales part of it. So don't want to interrupt you. So I'm Janet Love from Toll Brothers. One of the urgencies of getting the final map that Isaac was trying to speak to is our real estate exemption. So there's a lot that goes into, we need a final map to have actual lots established before you can market and sell them. So we need to get our real estate exemption. Then once we get our real estate exemption, then we can start preparing to open for sale. So down at the southern portion where the 7,000 square foot lots are, most of those will be started as, we'll say, spec homes. You know, that's what the industry usually calls them, quick move-in homes. That's a different product line than what we're going to offer up, you know, around the larger lot. So most of those at the bottom will be started as spec homes. The other ones, we will start a few as spec homes, and then we also want the ability to be able to sell them individually as, you know, which plan, elevation, structural options the buyers would like to have on them. The bigger the house, the more expensive the house. We understand people really want their choices as well, and they want to personalize it. So what we don't want to do is put a bunch of large homes in the ground and not fully understand what the buying public wants. And so we can't go to sale and start understanding what they want and what they would select and which lots until we actually get that final map, and then to get our real estate exemption. Then we also have sales and we have settlements. So sales, obviously, we need to get out there and start talking to buyers. Then we have a build time. For the toll product, that's a little bit quicker of a build time than our Storybook product down south. So,
Storybooks.
Well, I'm sorry. It's a little bit longer, and Storybook is quicker. You're right. I like the yin and the yang. So the Storybook build time will be quicker than the toll build time, and so we need time to market it, sell it, and also get a buyer through the studio, have their design selections, and then before we actually start the home. But we will be starting a few up front as kind of quicker delivery homes, but we would start the selections.
Can I ask one question there? On the real estate exemption, can you get that with phase one, or you have to, because phase one is going to be a different builder?
It's different product, it's different lots. So we could get our real estate exemption for we'll call it the Storybook section, the one down south. We could get a real estate exemption with that if the map went tonight and was approved. But we would not be able to start the application process, because there's a process. We have to get the title report and everything. So we can't immediately, once we get the final map, start that process. But then we would have to apply for the larger lot section as well. So there's a time frame of all that, that still has to happen before we would actually even open for sale.
For the real estate exemption, you have to have approval of the second phase?
Yes, to get our real estate exemption for that.
So each
community.
phase you have to get a real estate
Yes.
exemption?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification.
Yeah, yes. And so I wanted Isaac's doing a great job explaining it, but I figured I might be able to offer a little bit more on that end. Like, he turns the dirt, and, I probably worry more about the sales.
And I can speak a little bit more to the other part of the question about the technical review of the changes that we've made. So as we go back to, I think it was the end of January when the concerns were first raised over Lot 28, we met with staff and did an in-depth review on changes that we could make. We talked through those. I mean, we spent quite a few hours just downstairs working through all of these concerns and how to address them. After that, we resubmitted our full improvement set that included some of those adjusted designs. Now, at this point, we're fine-tuning some of those things. So there's specifically regarding, I'll use scenario 2 as an example. Although that did come late, you guys are seeing that just fresh. We've done a cursory review with Public Works and with the city engineer so that they could understand the design and the changes that we proposed. So we're continuing to work through those technical aspects. And again, that goes with the full civil plan approval process, which Mr. Mays spoke to, that it's, staff and Toll Brothers we're committed to getting every technical aspect covered through the review and approval process.
I would think that that's the most important part, because we could say what we want, but then the technical side of it comes in, and in 2 weeks it'll sound like, well, you promised, but then the technical side said, maybe he shouldn't have promised. So I just want to know that those two are aligned, the design and the technical side of it.
If I may, and just weigh in from the staff perspective, our staff has been diligently evaluating potential options. And with what's been submitted tonight to the council, we have full confidence that they can follow through with their commitment so that the promise to the citizens is viable and can be accomplished.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Well, now I get to talk. So I have some history with water as it goes down that Bristlecone area with flooding from the first development that went in there without adequate drainage. And then fortunately, the second development went in there and stopped the floodwater from hurting the first neighborhood. So I'm very aware of drainage and how important it is. I love the concept of the B drainage, what you're talking about, because that water still goes downhill, and if you look at that lot and it goes down, that's probably where the water's going to go. And I appreciate that whole line that you've got figured out where that water needs to go. I appreciate what you've done, and as I see it, what you've done already is you've lowered that pad from the original thing, and you've looked at the equality of height across the street with the fence, and then you are looking at a one-story that will peak somewhere above the fence, obviously, but if I look at the other side of the street of Bristlecone, then I see there are houses that are well above that fence as well. So I don't think it's going to be incongruent to have a house peak up above this fence. We don't want a basement-only house. So, I think it will look, and we've said from the get-go that this street will look the same both sides. And if you look at your rendering, that's what it looks like. We've got a path, we've got trees, we've got a fence, we've got houses, and I think we're going to see one side or the other pretty much looks the same, with houses that go above the fence being the same side, the trees looking good, a path where you can bike and walk, and I think it's going to be just a beautiful thing that you're doing because it was beautiful on the other side. The one story versus the other side, I think, we're going to see houses that look above no matter what kind they are. Single story or double story. We have double stories on the other side, and obviously a double story can look down into a neighbor's yard. I mean, that's just a fact of life. So make sure you're fully dressed. Did I say that? Okay. So that the the drainage across the street that comes in across the Toll Brothers street, that comes into Bristlecone, does it not? Does it go anywhere else?
You're referring to which drainage
If a big
coming from which
big
property?
rain comes, the houses across the street from your proposed development, does that drain into Bristlecone and down?
Yes, that whole area, and that's a main reason why we're improving the storm drain system that runs the length of Bristlecone. And if you look at the design, you'll notice it gets larger. The capacity of that pipe gets larger as you move further south, because it's collecting more water as you get further south toward the golf course.
So could I say that this development will actually improve the drainage from even the other side of that?
Yes, there's drop inlets where it collects water that are placed on both sides of Bristlecone.
So this will improve my flood drainage on the other side of Bristlecone as well?
Yes,
Because
the
you're
entire
paying
way.
for that.
Yes, yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
So the back set of the home, how far back is that one story going to be in order to be able to drain B and drain A? Because depending on how far back it is will depend on how high your peak is at one point or another. Is that designed to go back 20 feet, or is that one of those that goes back 90 feet, or what is it? Have you figured that out?
Yeah, so the front setback is a minimum of 20 feet. We're maintaining those. We like to allot more space to the rear yard to the homeowner to utilize rather than the front driveway space. But utilizing that 20-foot front setback, slightly back from that, so we'll roughly say the front half of the house is what would drain A-type drainage into the street in front. And that, where that high point is shown on the plans, from that point back is where the B-type drainage is established and everything. So that high point, everything behind it goes back, everything in front of it goes forward.
So you won't have a house that's like this on the bottom? It'll be like this?
So if you're referring to the pad elevation changes as you get further down, as I mentioned, it tapers down in the back. The overall pad that the house sits on, there's you could differentiate from the pad elevation from the finished floor height to the front, may vary a little bit to the back, but essentially you won't walk out of the side of your house and fall down the hill. It's not as extreme as you're kind of gesturing that it's a giant peak like that.
All right.
If that makes sense.
So in essence, the house will probably be enough on the front that you're probably not going to have as much drainage on the front as you do on the back.
Yeah, given the size of the area that it's collecting water and then draining, that area is not as substantial, and this lot specifically not as substantial as the rear.
So last night when I was talking, or listening, I'll call it, listening more than talking, about the road and how the road would have a 0.5% and it goes down to 3 feet or 3% instead of a 0.5%. Can you make that understandable to somebody even like me? Because that was one of the objections, that the road tilt or the slant would go from a 0.5% to 3%. Teach me.
So the 0.5% drainage is established on the high side of the road. If you imagine you have, and I'll gesture as well, if you have a flat road that's running into Bristlecone, which is tilted at 3.5% grade, you're going to end up hitting at Bristlecone, and one half of your street is going to be above, and one half will be either at grade or below. So you have to be able to equalize that grade as it runs into the adjacent street. So what happens is the low side of the street dips down slightly to match the downhill side of Bristlecone, of the portion that road intersects with Bristlecone. That's the reason for that adjusted grade to match into the lower portion of the street that it's hitting.
And you made that adjustment when?
That adjustment was initially looked at during drainage study when we're looking at different rates of flow and how the streets line up and where those flows are going to get calculated to carry. That detail comes when we look at, again, build utilities underground, come up with a final street grade, and then adjust that considering the drainage that was looked at as part of the drainage study and where that's going to go and at what rate and what flows, accelerations, things like that.
So you're really because I'm interested in the drainage. I don't want to flood again. So you're really doing all of those half percent and 3% according to what's necessary to make sure that my underground utilities and the flow of water doesn't heap up and go like that. So it's a necessary thing that you're doing that for.
Yeah, there are lots of considerations, I think, mainly to address your question is we have to have the water continuing to flow, so we have to give it enough of a slope to continue running. If you shallow that slope enough, eventually, if you imagine you dump a pool out on the sidewalk, if it's perfectly flat, it's gonna sit there. It's not gonna be able to move. If there's more water coming from the upstream side and hitting that's stopped, it'll also collect and stop, and you'll start to have pools everywhere. So we can't have that. So we have to find ways and grades that establish that positive flow through the entire site and out to its ultimate discharge point.
We like our pools in the backyard, but that's a different thing. When you last night, for instance, did you change anything from last night's group that was out there?
That's actually
there was a significant number of people out there.
Yes, so that's actually where scenario 2 came about, was when we looked at the drainage model on Sunrise across the street, across Bristle Cone.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at the drainage model there, and it was different than what we had proposed in our streets. And so we did the calculations and made the adjustments there to ensure that we could still maintain that positive drainage, but it would also benefit Lot 28 specifically in allowing us to slightly adjust that down. So we took that as a positive net benefit for the exercise here and what we're trying to achieve.
So you took comments last night, made changes today, and all for the better. And
I was up late
listened.
I was up late last night talking to our engineers, and I got him up early out of bed this morning to get him to work on these models. So we're actively engaged in this.
That
yes.
was my impression, that you not only listened, but you did this when they were talking and how you were doing it, so I appreciate it. So if we approve this site plan, as it were, in toto today, can we back off of it to make any changes? And Mr. Mays is probably going to answer that question.
Back off of what?
Can we change our mind?
No.
Can we improve it? Can we do anything?
We can always improve it, but the final map has to be in substantial conformance to the tentative map. There can always be continued tweaks as we finalize the grading, but we believe that what has been presented in scenario 2, based on staff's evaluation, is the best we can do, but we're still open for conversations.
I mean, my impression is that you've listened to all of us and all of the things, and I've been impressed with how that process has been, and I hope I illustrated that by saying, what were you doing last night? But I appreciate what you're doing, and I think it's a good plan, and I feel very comfortable with the site plan myself. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Just going forward, I know we're talking about 1 and 2. Going to the next phase, what do you suggest we do going to the third one where there may be some hiccups there? Can we look at it well in advance, or, and this is phase 3 and 4, obviously, it's not on the agenda tonight, but just going forward, because I think from the very beginning, the problem was elevation. Nobody knew what the elevations were going to be, which I hope going forward with other projects, tolls or whoever, the elevations will be addressed up front, because I think we could have alleviated some of, the arguments. But going to the other phases, are we going to run into that? I know there's not neighbors on the other side other than the golf course, I guess, so you probably won't. But do you foresee any changes?
So I think we have a couple of different things working to our advantage now that will benefit us as we move into future phases. A couple different things, so I'll address them separately. Phase 2, which is adjacent to Adams, not running all the way up into the corner by Adams and Bristlecone, but slightly off of that. So running most of the length of Adams down to the golf course parking lot.
With-
Those plans have already been submitted, so staff is currently reviewing those. That's kind of one item that's already, call it out in the open. Another thing is the tentative map. While it is tentative, it does establish grades, and we have to do that because that ultimately feeds into our drainage study and our drainage models, and then that feeds into our civil improvement plans. So the pad elevations are established fairly early on because we have to understand how the site plan that City Council approved when it was approved, gosh, I guess it's been a year and a half-ish, that site plan is actually able to be constructed that way. And so that's why that tentative map takes that interim step and establishes retaining areas, pad grades, streets, things like that helps to hone in a little more detail. The other thing that we have working for us is most of the site right now is graded, so that visual is there. Some of the areas are still low. They've established subgrade, and they still have to bring in additional dirt to kind of build that up in some areas. But for the most part, the visual, again, is out in the open.
Right.
So I think that's once lot 28 was there and the visual was established that, hey, we need to raise concern here, that can also now be done in future phases as well.
Okay, so that's the lesson learned, so to speak.
Yeah, it's certainly it shows, this process and the discussions that we've had. We're not going to say this is it. We're not going to do this on future phases. We're a good neighbor. We're always going to be open to this. We're always going to have these discussions. We're a quality company that's willing to being a positive benefit to the neighbors and to the neighborhood. We're not just going to come in and say take it or leave it. We certainly haven't done that here, and we have no intention of doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, your reputation is good, and I'm sure you want to keep it like that going forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Yes.
your work.
Thank you.
Other questions, concerns? I would accept a motion of some kind.
All right, we've got two resolutions before us. Can they be taken together, or do they have to be separate?
They can be taken together.
I move to pass resolutions 8111 and 8112.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We are now going to item number 11.
Boulder City is unique. It's unique in the fact that a vast majority of the vacant land in our community is owned by the city. And because of that unique feature, we have something in our code that is called the land management process. The land management process is an opportunity to evaluate in a transparent manner the potential disposition of city land long before leases are contemplated, rezoning is considered, and it gives the public a chance to weigh in on potential uses on city-owned land. So you can see on the screen, this is a list of the current properties, again, city-owned properties, that are on the land management process list. This includes 17 different properties, approximately 1,731 acres of land, which are then graphically represented on these two maps. When an applicant submits a proposal to the city for consideration to be added to the land management process list, there are several steps involved. The first step is tonight. It comes before the council, and the council decides whether to entertain adding a parcel to that list for a particular use. The council would then recommend that this matter move to the Planning Commission for the Planning Commission to evaluate during a public meeting, provide a recommendation, and then bring it back to the council for final consideration regarding adding it to the list. I want to emphasize that point because just because we have these 17 city-owned properties on this list doesn't mean they're going to advance the development. They're just on that list for the potential next stage in consideration and entitlements. So Townsite Solar 2 LLC has submitted an application for council consideration to be added to the land management process list for the specific purpose of a data center. This property, which is 88.5 acres, is located, you'll see the solar panels on the aerial, that's Townsite Solar 1, and it's located southwest of the US 95 I-11 interchange. Currently, Townsite Solar 2 LLC has an option to develop this property for battery storage and solar, but they want to explore with the council and the community the opportunity to develop data centers on this site. Even after a parcel is added to a land management process list, there are many more steps and opportunities for the city to evaluate the potential use. The other thing I want to emphasize with this map, just make it very clear to our community, this property is not in the El Dorado Valley transfer area, which is subject to the ballot question that's going to go before the voters this November on, the opportunity to have data centers within that area to the south. This is outside of that area and so is not subject to voter approval, but it is subject to this process. As I mentioned, this is very early on in the process. Staff still needs to do further evaluation, specifically on the feasibility of data centers. It would require either rezoning or a text amendment to accommodate data centers, because currently within the community, we do not have a zoning district that would allow for data centers. So before you tonight is the initial step in consideration of the potential use of data centers on this parcel. And I can answer any questions you may have. We also have representatives of the applicant here that can provide more detail on their application.
I have a question of you, Michael. So I'm not for or against these data centers because I don't know enough about them. So if we added this on, would we be given the opportunity to discuss how they work and get the information out, or?
Absolutely, because there'd be many more.
And what part of the process would that be done in?
Yeah, the next appropriate step following that would be to evaluate zoning that would be appropriate to accommodate the data centers and under what conditions. So that is an opportunity where the Planning Commission and the City Council would be able to weigh in, because currently data centers are not permitted anywhere within our community.
Thank you. That was my biggest question, is I want to be educated to be able to make an answer. Thank you.
Mayor, it's a statement made through a question, and I'm going to ask you the question. Maybe there's more than one or two things I'm going to ask, but is the city obligated in any way whatsoever to follow up in any form that even resembles the applicant's actual statements on their application?
Now, when you say follow up, meaning have to follow through?
Yeah, that we're obligated in any fashion to agree to any of the things that they actually said on their application.
The short answer is no. And I'm glad you raised that question, because I think there's a common misconception in the community that the land management process has now entitled that land for that use. That's not an accurate representation. Zoning entitlements, lease negotiations, there may be other entitlements that will be involved, many more steps ahead. This is just the initial step.
Thank you. That was my point with that question. And honestly, to have the applicant here is the cart way before the horse because of that very fact. We're under no obligation to enter into negotiations with the applicant, or if we choose to comply with any of the things that they suggested in their application, right?
That is correct.
Thank you. That's very, very important for us to remember as we deliberate the land use consideration here. So for my 2 cents, to even ask them to come up is pointless because whatever they're going to say has no real bearing on what may ultimately occur in any negotiations that could possibly occur. And this is, as you said, a process for land management that goes through many other steps, some of which include public hearings and public involvement. So I think that's important. I don't have any more questions right now, Mayor, so I'll cede to other questions that may be asked.
So thank you, Councilman Walton. That was a good point that you made about that we're not tied into yay or nay of a data center. One of the things you said, Mr. Mays, was this is about the council and the community. And I think that's huge because it's not just us five up here or the staff, it's the community. They have spoken loud and clear, basically kill the baby in the cradle. They don't want data centers no matter what, how, when. But that argument is really not for tonight. Tonight is just putting something on the list of possibly entertaining down the road. I'm about technology. I know we're a small town, and we have our ordinance of what the type of town we want to be, but I think there's always room for technology as well. Data centers have come a long way. I've heard all the pros and cons of it, and that's to be argued at another point. I just think closing the door completely on the unknown of what could happen in a year or two, we may be shooting ourselves in the foot. Or we could say yes tonight and then down the road change our mind, correct?
Correct.
So it leaves it open that nothing is definite. But I hate the fact of closing the door on technology. I'm 70 years old, and I wasn't born when the Hoover Dam was built. But there were people who said, and I'm going to read what they said. There were those who argued the Hoover Dam was an impossible, dangerous, and wasteful project, claiming the structure would never hold. Critics warned that there wouldn't be enough water to fill it. Somebody said it's the devil's bargain. Those were the things that were said, the industrial era. There were those who argued that cataclysmic process destroying past, trying to bring the past to the present would dehumanize work. They criticized the rise of mind-numbing, repetitive, I don't even know what they're trying to say there. But the bottom line, they were saying, well, the industrial era would never come to pass, and it was fruitless to even think about it. Horses to cars. People said that there were, in the 19th to 20th centuries, dismissed cars. They're dangerous, unreliable, toys for the rich. They would never replace the horses. I mean, these were just the thoughts of people, what they said about technology coming forth, not understanding what it was, but you're afraid of it because it's what you hear, maybe have happened in other countries or in other states, but we are evolving as the days go by. And I hate to just turn off something on, I'm not saying that people's perception of what data centers will change. It may not. We may find that, yeah, it is fruitless to have one and we won't have one. But I think there's a lot of research that needs to be done on these. I know that we own the land, which means we have say of what could be and what can't be. We already know the state of water and electricity. There's nothing that's been said here tonight that I think everybody has the same concerns. Still, let's not throw the baby out with the water is the bottom line for me. I love technology. It could be good, it could be bad. Look at social media. It has its pros and cons. But I just think to say no altogether forever, history shows that that's fruitless. It's not warranted. Now, we could prove it to be so, to where we don't have data centers, and that's fine. But I think at this point, Councilman Walton hit the nail on the head. We're not signing up to anything. We're just saying the possibility is there for the pros and the cons. I think it would be fruitless for us to turn away any kind of business, not just for the sake of having business, but for the sake of history and growth. In Boulder City, we are Hoover Dam. That's why we're here. If we had listened to the people back then, we would not be here having this conversation. Could be the same thing with data centers. I don't know. But it doesn't have to be tonight that has to be decided. So I just wanted to put that out, that, I am technology driven, always have been. I ran on that. So I'm not saying anything that people don't know, but I just, to throw the baby out with the water is not good. So that's my statement, not a question.
Could you, Mr. Mays, tell us about how the land is being used now, who's leasing the land, what it's allowed to be used right now, and therefore why this is being proposed to consider being it used as a data center? Could you give us a little history and refresh us?
Sure. So Townsite Solar 2, LLC, has the land under an option to be able to develop for battery and solar. Currently, it is vacant land. It is zoned our energy resource zoning district, which allows for solar and battery. And so the reason this is before you tonight is that our code is very clear that even if there's another use permitted for city-owned land, if somebody introduces a new use, it has to go through the entire land management process for consideration.
Thank you. So knowing that there is a potential new use available, this would allow that new use to be considered openly by the council to see what the council feels, as opposed to saying, the council is not voting today to do a data center as much as to consider the potential that one could be discussed by the council. So this vote is not to approve a data center.
That is correct.
That's right.
Motion.
I just have some comments, if I could, Mayor. I think that everything needs to be reviewed with a critical eye. And many of the comments that we've heard, now, I think it's important to know that we've heard from some people, a very small number of a representative group of the community that are against it. Typically, when there's an item, you get more showing up that are against it or in for. And I think it's important for us to remember the totality of who we represent. But everything needs to be critically reviewed. The power, the water, the visibility, the environment, the heat or whatever's associated there, the height of buildings that are allowed in Boulder City. And as you had questioned, the current use down there and the proximity to all the other uses that really are the economic engine. If we look, every community has an economic engine, and typically they're visible. And when you drive into a community, you can visibly see what that engine is. Drive into Las Vegas, it's very visible what the economic engine is. You drive into a large city in the Midwest, you see high-rises that are full of bank buildings or manufacturing, or you go to Detroit, it's all car production or whatever the case may be. And Boulder City needs to have an economic engine, because we don't just organically produce the funds required to provide the services to our community, Parks and Rec being one of them that we heard from today. And so, yeah, when you look out in the El Dorado Valley, there are things out there that are visible, but that is the visual evidence of what really is our economic engine. We get, about 1/3 of our budget from the sea tax, which we benefit greatly from everybody over the hill, from all that's done there. And then, from government sources, we get about another 1/3, property tax being 5%. So that's never going to fund the needs that we have. And then the rest being between 35 and 39%, the engine that is driven from everything done in the El Dorado Valley. And so I'm not speaking in favor necessarily of data centers, but that we, as Council Member Ashurst very eloquently stated, we need to look critically but open-mindedly at what the potential is in that area, and not to get into all the pros and cons here, because that's not why we're here. It's just the land management process, the potential to then critically look at every one of these items and see if it adds up. And I think because of that, it's important for us to seriously consider the potential approval of this, just entering into the land management process and going through the half dozen to a dozen other steps all the way through if we choose to even entertain it ultimately. So thanks for letting me make those comments.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'd like to move this to the land management process and move it forward to the Planning Commission.
I second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. May. Now, with that done, we will open for public comment. Anybody who would like to come forward on anything, take your 3 minutes as you desire.
Hi, I'm Brenda Lermier, and that's really disappointing, you all, after hearing from 13 people vehemently opposed to placing data centers in our city. But actually, I came up here to speak about, one piece. You said a visual representation of Boulder City. It's right behind you there. It's the Hoover Dam. But I actually came up to speak on agenda item 10, the Liberty Ridge Toll Brothers proposal, or to reference it anyway, and just hearing everybody speak about it for a really long time. I wish we could spend 5% of that amount of time talking about any of the other neighborhoods in this city. But that happens to be one in which the vast majority of this council lives in, which is just continuously frustrating for a lot of us constituents. So sorry if I have to be the one to state that bluntly. And just 2 examples today that I'm going to point out. I drove through Moore's Mobile Home Park, whose streets are private, but I would encourage all of you to drive down them and try not to get a flat tire. Again, they are private, but it would be nice if the city worked with the mobile home park to make those streets drivable and keep the rents stable for the residents who live there. So that's number 1. And number 2 is I had noticed about a week or so ago the drains in my own house, like a raw sewage odor emanating from them. So, I did all the basic fixes one would do, put hot water, vinegar, all the things down them, and it persisted. So I checked with my neighbors, and about 24 of them said, yeah, they were experiencing the same just in the last week or so. So I called to the utilities department. I got Joel on the phone yesterday, and my compliments to him. He sent out the city truck with the sewer cleaner this morning, did a really great job, and I'm not smelling them anymore. Hopefully my neighbors can all say the same, so thanks to him. But I would just like to reiterate that if we could spend some more time, I have suggested time and time again, it would be really, really helpful if we could sit down and do regular monthly, quarterly, whatever roundtables with residents of various neighborhoods. I live in the historic district. That's the neighborhood on which this city was founded, and I feel like we spend no time ever discussing it. And that's just one problem. Thankfully, I resolved one, but it is one problem of many that we have in our neighborhood. So thank you for your time, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Hi. Once again, my name is Cherubel Lob. And I want to say that while I appreciate the city council, I am very disappointed. You don't set up a bear trap without expecting to catch something. You don't take the first step up a flight of stairs without planning to continue to walk up it. Everything with item 11 is something that could be revisited in the future. Why set in motion something to possibly build the center when it is something people are continuously saying they don't want? It's not just something that's being said here in the council room. It's being said online. It's being said online. It's being said all over town. You're hearing it in coffee shops. You're hearing it in stores. It's something that is being said by the public. It's something being screamed by the environment. So while I appreciate the council, I am very disappointed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the phone? 702-589-9629.
Public comment, go ahead.
Yes, my name is David Ellert, and I'd like to comment on agenda item number 11. I'm very disappointed in the city staff and with the council on your comments that were made during that item, especially when the comment was about the number of people who came to comment. I wish that you would not have voted for this. I wish you would have waited till the ballot question number 1 in November. I think you're looking at it for the wrong reasons, and I'm really disappointed that you went to move it to the land management process. If the citizens don't want something, this is like the 80-20 issue at the national level. If you're only hearing from the people who don't want it, that means that, and there's no one mentioning that they want it, maybe you should listen to the citizens of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's another one.
Go ahead on the phone.
Public comment, go ahead.
Yes, hello, this is Kathleen McGarity calling back briefly. I just want to thank everyone there present and the council for what I feel was a wonderful, informative meeting. That said, about agenda item 11, we know already that there is a great deal of money at stake here. I believe the amount was quoted as over $1 billion in potential profit has been mentioned over the course of 70 years. As we move forward in good faith, because I felt that Councilwoman Ashurst had wonderful points about the dam being questioned, about cars being criticized, I realize that everyone will examine this, but we must understand that people will doubt. They will think that the amount of money to gain will guide the decisions, and we trust in good faith that that won't happen. And I thank you all very much. Again, your work, just wonderful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Anyone else on the phone? 702-589-9629. Anyone here in chambers?
Evening again, Mayor, Council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. Again, just in reference to agenda item 11, the data centers, I'd like to applaud Council Member Ashurst for her many points, and reasonably throwing out there that there's been many doubters for many different things throughout history. I think what has become apparent in today's day and age, at least, in response to data centers is that they don't seem to help. There is a lot of money to be made. You know, the rule is always follow the money and you'll figure it out. But I think given today's limitations of technology, and that's not to say that, you know, 3 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, you know, the data center that we've discussed tonight might fit in something the size of this room, perhaps the size of a phone, who knows. But I think given today's reality for data centers and our limited resource that we have here in Boulder City, I don't think, as Ms. Ashurst had stated, we could say yes tonight and no down the road. Maybe we should stick with the no today and the yes down the road when technology evolves a little further, so that we're not taxing our limited resource at this point in time to further down the line. There's no reason that this can't be revisited. Obviously, it's been floated out there, or otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it tonight. And I really think that the council has missed an opportunity to make it clear that you are listening to your citizens by furthering this down the road, and who knows if it's ever going to end up anywhere. But what you've basically blanketly stated is that all these people that have gotten up here and nobody's come to the podium and said anything positive about a data center tonight or in the last meeting when a lot of people spoke, and I just don't get it. I'm a little sad, to be honest. But Mr. Walton, you spoke of our economic engine. We are a historic city. We're a tourist town. That is our economic engine, and while it won't make billions of dollars for us, we do have resource that we can use, as in solar fields and all those other things. We don't really need a data center that nobody wants at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 702-589-9629. Anyone on the phone? Anyone in chambers? Seeing no one in chambers and no one on the phone, we will close public comment and go to City Council's report. Start with Councilwoman Ashurst.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to echo Ms. Kathleen McGurdy's, I think that's how she pronounced her last name, that tonight was very fruitful in working through. This is what we do. We work through these issues. We do listen. I think everyone on this council listens to our community. I am available every Tuesday to talk with anyone and to further discuss, but I think that again, like Mr. May said, any issue that we talk about is the council and the community. It doesn't matter if 500 people were here tonight with yay or nay. We still should work through it. That's our job, to work through. That's what we were elected for, to hear what you have to say, and then not always just give an answer of yes or no, but to debate. And I think that's a lack of what we have in our country, just back and forth to talk to each other and decide what the conclusion is going to be on any topic. While data centers and other things are hot topics, and there'll be something else after data centers, it's still fruitful to sit down and talk about it. It may come out to be nothing, that's fine, but I think everybody has a voice and everybody should be heard. We live here in Boulder City, I do, and when I make a decision not only for the people that live here, but also for myself. I live here, I want to see the best for Boulder City, so anything that me personally, whether I vote yay or nay, it's going to be well thought of, and it's going to take some time maybe to think it through. But just to, I'm not saying be pressured into a yes or a no, I will never, but I will always be available to talk to. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I too would like to thank everybody that sends me a letter or speaks out at the city council, because I know it's nerve-wracking to stand over there. So I just want to let you know that I do appreciate you and I do listen. I serve on the Main Street Committee, which we discuss how to bring people downtown with the chamber and work for grants and things like that to make the city flourish. And I truly believe that without Main Street, we wouldn't have a city here in Boulder City. There wouldn't be a reason to come have lunch or things like that without a wonderful Main Street that we have. But there's a couple things coming up, and one of them called Shine Boulder City. We're going to clean all the statues in Boulder City, and it's going to start April 18th at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm looking for everybody to show up and help us shine up those statues. The next one that they're going to have is going to be, I think is wonderful. It's going to be Dinner on the Avenue, which will be, they're going to set tables out. There should be enough for 100 people. And it's going to be from Nevada Way down Arizona, and it'll be underneath all the lights that are already out there. And you can reserve your reservation for $100, and you're going to be fed and entertained, and it's going to be celebrating our 250th year. So any other information you'd like to have, just hop on the chamber website, and they'll help you with that. And I hope I see everybody there. And that's what I have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just want to wish the EABC happy birthday, 60 years as an actual nonprofit, which is extremely amazing. But before that even, 1930, helping people here in Boulder City. And I think that says a lot about our community. And if we started that way, that we continue that way. So I wanted to say that. Last night I had the opportunity to go to Clark County School District's Night of Excellence that was celebrating teachers, administrators, and support staff that have done a remarkable job, have been recommended by those that they work with as exceptional. And one of our own teachers received an award, so Jana Kroll. And just wanted to say thank you to all the teachers in our community who do a great job.
Thank you.
As far as committees go, I don't have any updates there. Echo what's been said here, emergency aid and all the other things. I did buy tickets for the dinner for the Main Street big dinner festival, so I'm looking forward to that. It'll highlight all of our restaurants and excited about that. And sincerely do appreciate all that provide the thought and the time and the energy to send emails, to make phone calls, to show up and to give their comment. All are valued and listened to. And then we have the hard work of making decisions, and I appreciate all the involvement. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate the council. I think we have shown very good discussions tonight, and I appreciate the participation and the measured comments that were made. I appreciate the staff, how we've been able to listen and learn, and appreciate the people who have participated as citizens. We live in a unique community, and I think all of us have been very blessed to be here. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
I won't get voted back in again.
What's that?
I won't get voted back in again.